welcome you to this live virtual classes for final paper 4 direct tax laws and international taxation for May 27 examination. Me, CA Aparna Chauhan, BUS faculty for this subject will be taking you through this session. As you know, for LVC, already 2 classes being taken place for the topic on basic concepts. And I hope you have uh, understood the basics of the direct tax laws. And this is not the first time, of course, you are introduced with the direct tax laws paper. At intermediate also, you were aware of the law. But of course, that was Income Tax Act 1961. Now we are proceeding with the new law, new Income Tax Act 2025, that too as amended by the Finance Act 2026. So, this is one of the most dynamic paper and we keep on updating every year. But now you have to unlearn the provisions, unlearn the section numbers, which we have remembered under the Income Tax Act 1961, and that section numbers are renumbered in the new Income Tax Act 2025. This is one of the major change which has taken place in the new act. So student, never unnecessary have a fear that you have already learned 1961 and how we will move and shift to the new Act 2025. See, the provisions basically largely if you'd say the content of the provisions remains the same. Of course, this is being presented in a more simplified manner, which is definitely easy for you. It will bring a ease for you to understand the law by reading the Bare Act itself. The Sixth Decade Act 1961 was there, and it has a lot number of provisos, lot number of explanations, and many years the amendments takes place, and it becomes so bulky. It's just a cleaning, it's a cleaning of the provisions. It's a cleaner of your act into the new structured form. So that need not to be worried about key. Now we have to, do with this new Act 2025, how will we proceeding with? So that should not be a worry area. The main focus again, that was earlier also and now also for final paper 4 specifically, you need to build the concepts. You need to have a good hold. Analytical skills need to be developed. The interpretational skills need to be developed when you have done this subject. That is the major objective of the paper. In the first session itself, I have already explained you that this whole syllabus, first of all, before proceeding with any subject, you must know what is the objective of that paper, of course, and what are the syllabus. What is syllabus? If you talk about the syllabus of this subject, that means you are going to cover everything, means whole of the Income Tax Act, along with its income tax rules are assessed at this level, because this is your final stage. And after becoming a chartered accountant, you will be eligible to appear before the represent a client. And why? Before representing a client, you need to be well versed with the provisions of direct tax law. So income tax law, apart from the income tax law, black money law is also tested, and which is covered in your penalty and prosecution provisions, that is unethical tax practices chapter, that is covered in your module 3. So to cover this syllabus, entire syllabus that have been already explained in the first session, that the whole syllabus is broadly divided into 3 sections. The first section is your substantive provisions. I think you all must be knowing what is the substantive provisions are, right? And if we say these are the main provisions on which the procedural law, applies, and on those things only the case laws occurs. So first is your, in order to comply with these, understand the substantive provisions, then we will move forward to the procedural law, which is containing the TDS provisions, the procedure for return filing, the appeals and revision. Of course, you should know who are the income tax authorities, The miscellaneous provisions, then your dispute resolution, and one of the most important area for the chartered accountant is the tax audit. Tax audit in an ethical manner. Conducting a tax audit in ethical compliance manner is must for a chartered accountant, right? This is a major role a chartered accountant is playing in nowadays. From since long time in the direct tax laws is the tax audit chapter. Tax audit, you will not able to appreciate the tax audit chapter unless you have the knowledge of the substantive provisions, right? Then beyond this, it's not restricted to, now the domestic laws. It's not restricted. Your transactions are not restricted to the domestic areas, domestic boundaries. They are moving beyond the domestic boundaries to the international level. So for to cover those things, and people are coming here earning from India and then taking back. So government cannot lose those people. They will not lose that tax on the income which is arising from India. So there are the provisions which is taxing the those income which the person from outside India comes here and earn from India and take out, they also have to pay the tax. And the person who has earned outside from global income is taxable in case of residence. That you all must be knowing because you have done your intermediate level also and the practical training also. So you all are knowing. But those provisions are the basic ground for international taxation. So again, these are tested here at final level in your international taxation. The non-resident taxation provisions, then you have the transfer pricing. Transfer pricing in itself is a major in a different play game. You can say it's a different role, different expansion of your direct tax laws provisions is the transfer pricing in its own self a practicing area for many chartered accountants, the transfer pricing. Then, of course, the DTA and the advance ruling, and the last four chapters, which are purely based on the international taxation front, means the BEPS provisions, the OECD BEPS provisions, fundamentals of BEPS, then your application and interpretation of tax treaties, how you are going to interpret the tax treaties. Now, at presently, in the first three modules, you are learning the interpretations of your income tax law, income tax act, along with its rules. And when we have some, when the government enters into a DTA provisions, then you should know how to interpret those treaties. For that, there is a specific chapters that is application of and interpretation of tax treaties. Then beyond that, overview of model tax conventions on which the tax treaties are based on. Then we move forward the latest developments in the international taxation. This is in your module 4, right? Now, the important thing from May 27 exams is for every subject of final or the intermediate, we have covered with the section-wise weightages. And section-wise weightages are there in this paper too. And the major area of weightage is assigned to that substantive portion that is from module 1 to module 2. In overall, there would be 4 modules. Okay. So that I have already discussed that there are some changes which are taking place in the first section, specifically the substantive provisions, which is divided into further 2 subsections. And in those, within that subsections limits, there is a change in the weightages. So we will be very soon be web hosting on these all things, the substantive, the section-wise weightages. Of course, you students are having the doubt when we are going to receive the study material and these chapters. Of course, see students, at presently we are facing some difficulties in uploading these notes on our portal, but don't worry about it. Because today I thought that I should not make this session more interactive, because my plan for the today's session is that we are first going to recap. I'm not going to go into detail of these basic concepts provisions. It's been implied that you have done it, but I just want to cover this chapter 1 in the way, once you have done and studied something, you have done your chapter. So you should have, overall overview of that chapter. You should be able to make a mind map, try to make your own notes. So I want to cover only from that aspects, that how you are going to, summarize that particular chapter, this chapter. So I am going to just give a recap, or just memorize what we have already covered in the first chapter. then definitely we will be moving forward to the next topic, that is income which do not form a part of total income. So, what's my plan for today is that I want you to, join beforehand. I do not want, because I want to make that session more interactive. I want to ask from you people that how much you have learned from the first chapter, and I want to know from you. Okay, you summarize this to me, because let's make, I should understand okay, how much you have learned from the first two classes, and how your difficulties. And one more thing I want to know from you. This is the first of all, please note this meeting ID for through which you can just join these classes. This is meeting ID is 89594732732, and I will be waiting for you for some time. And please note down this meeting ID to come on the Zoom meeting, so that we can have a discussion on what you have learned, and then I would like to understand what is your level of understanding for the existing act, Income Tax Act, and then we are moving forward to the new act, of course. So please note down this meeting ID 89594732732. Unless I ask you to unmute, please do not unmute yourself. I will myself will allow you to unmute meanwhile, so that other students should not be disturbed from the conversation which we are taking place. So it's better you please, whatever your doubts, whatever your queries, write to me through this chat only. Okay, I will allow you, once we finish with these things, then I will be allowing you to able you to have a conversation with you. So this is the meeting ID, and students, I know that you are looking for the content. So my plan is to provide you the content, because we are facing some challenges while uploading these things on a portal. What we can do along with your registration number, right? This is necessary for you. Please write down your registration number and your mail ID, so that those students who are joining us on this Zoom meeting, we can send this material to them. We will be sharing this chapter 1 and chapter 2 for with you if you join through the Zoom link and provide us your registration number along with your mail IDs. Registration number is very much necessary, because only then we will be able to examine whether the student is really being registered with us or not. So please kindly through the chat only, please provide your registration number along with your mail ID. Then we will be sending these chapters to you till the time the chapters, definitely by Tuesday. We hopeful that we will be able to upload these things on our portal. But this is the midterm solution which we can provide to you. Please, yeah, Radha has already joined and she has provided. And those students who are just viewing this session through YouTube or on the portal, they may please join us. The meeting ID is already there on the screen, 89594732732. I'm just waiting for some time so that we can just continue with our session. Radha already provided. You just note down these mail IDs. We can send these to these students. Radha, Kanaya, these two people has already provided. What about the other students? They do not want these chapters. Please join us through Zoom link. Yes, Srinidhi also provided. Others also please join fast, so that move forward to our recap of the basic concept chapter. Then we will be moving forward, and this is very going to a very important class for you, because what happens now, you have already done chapter 1, right? And but आपने देखा होगा, you must also be having some doubt, because of course becoming a chartered accountant is important for you. Definitely it's very important, and becoming a very successful chartered accountant is more important. For that, understanding the provisions and understanding its interpretations, understanding its analytical skills is very essential for you. Apart from that, what is important? कि आप जो पढ़ रहे हो, whatever you are studying, what type of questions will be asked? This is one of the major question is among the students, that whatever you are studying, why you are studying this chapter 1, basic concepts हम क्यों start कर रहे हैं? आपको तो पता है, you all are aware of this basic concepts provisions when you have done your intermediate. आपको पता है सब कुछ. Why again we are reading this basic concepts? So see, हर किस तरीके से questions will be asked from these basic concept chapters? What type of questions will be asked from the other chapters? This is the major आपको जब भी आप पढ़ते हो, आपको retain करने के लिए provisions, you need to understand all these things. तो वो मेरा I will make such efforts so that I will make you understand what type of questions are being asked and why it is essential to read first the basic concepts provisions. Right? So others are also joining. Please join fast. I would like to start with you and would like to ask from you okay, how much you have understood the basic concept chapter. Please join fast. 89594732732 is the meeting ID. Please join through the Zoom link because first initially we are going to start with a recap of the first chapter and I want this session to be more interactive. I want to ask from you that what you have learned. So let's begin. I think we should now begin because some students have already joined. They all have provided. Srinidhi has provided. Kanaya Singh already provided. And then Radha has also provided. Jyoti, you also give your mail ID so that we can just send this the content to you directly. Apart from this content, one important thing is there which I would like to really share with you. And I thought you should, go through this thing. This is the PDF of the Income Tax Act. This is the PDF of the Income Tax Act, and it's been clearly written as amended by the Finance Act. Why it is very necessary as amended by the Finance Act. This is आपने पढ़ा होगा. You have already gone through what is this Finance Act is, right? And this is the Income Tax Act PDF. I will be sending this to you. Okay, this is the Income Tax PDF, and you should, try to understand the provisions. Whenever I'm telling you, do study with the BEAR Act. Try to study with the BEAR Act. Definitely, we are going to provide you the study material along with the questions. And you all must be knowing that 30% of the paper is your 30% paper is your case scenario. आप chat के through answers कर सकते हो. You can answer me through chats. ठीक है? So Finance Act, you have all know this is the PDF of your Income Tax Act, right? Now, just tell me. And this is the PDF I have for the income tax rules. These two PDFs are there. Of course, you can access this not only through this. You should visit. I think आप सभी लोग visit कर ही चुके होंगे because आप already practical training कर चुके हो, right? You have already done your practical training. Now, how you can access this? I know one day Radha was asking कि ma'am, I have read whole select committee report, okay, on the bill, which was on the income tax bill. And she was asking then how I should, from where I will get this, your Finance Act, right? She was asking me. So in that case, students, this is the Income Tax Department website. This is the Income Tax Department website, and this is must for you. This is must for you that you should go through this Income Tax Department website. Okay? If you notice, here are the acts. Only not the Income Tax Acts. It provides the access to other acts also, like Companies Act. Many acts are there. How many? Income Tax Act, of course, is essential. Income Tax in 1961 is also given to you. Black money, provision benami. These are very relevant for you. This is Income Tax Act is very relevant for you. Then your all acts are given. So if you go to this all acts, you will able to find, I'm just telling you how will you just want to know the Finance Act, right? Finance Acts. There is a link for Finance Acts here. So you will come to know the Finance Acts. Now, when you go and click on this, this is the Finance Act as amended by the Finance Act 2026. If you want to go beforehand, because sometimes, but frankly speaking, if I open this Finance Act before you, let me open this. There is section-wise things are given, then chapter-wise things are given. It's not only giving the direct taxes, it gives the foreign assets, indirect tax provisions, all the finance bill contains the changes in certain other laws also. Miscellaneous, if you go, you will come to know miscellaneous provision. Earlier acts may certain amendments being taking place in the finance act itself. For example, earlier the equalization levy, if you remember, now it's no more relevant. Of course, equalization levy is no more relevant for you because it has already been abolished, right? So this is the finance act, you can get it. But seeing this finance act, if for example, if I move to this section 3, which is on your income tax act, if you see this section 3 on income tax act, it is providing you section 3 rates. This is your section 3 actually, which is providing you the first initial things. Then let me go to, because initially they have given the Income Tax Act 1961 amendment. Then they have given you all the things. These are relating to income tax and 1961. But ab yahan pe you are getting one by one. For getting the access to the Finance Act whole soul, there is a website, India Budget .nic.in. This is the website. India Budget, Union Budget website. You can write Union Budget. This is indiabudget.gov.in is the website. Apart from, because Finance Act आप जो पढ़ोगे ना, you will have to keep the existing act along with you because it is making the amendments in the particular line, particular words are being substituted. वो आपको इतना समझ ही नहीं आएगा unless you study it with the or existing act. उसको understand करने के लिए, to understand the logic, understand the background of making certain amendments. What is the document you are going to read from the budget documents? You know, there are certain budget documents which are there. So now you tell me from where, which is the document of the budget which is relevant for you to understand why an amendment being made. Which document you are going to read? Footnotes, yeah, I know. Footnotes are providing you, these are the amendments in the Income Tax Act. But to understand, you know, government come out with a document which gives you an idea that why this amendment is being made. I am asking the name of that document. You just tell me, what is the document name? See, this is the website of Union Budgets of 2026, 27. If you go there, you will get the old previous Union Budgets also. There is a budget speech. You must be knowing on the 1st of this February, the Union Finance Minister always present the budget starts with the budget speech, right? This is one of the document. Yes, Srinidhi, you are right. This is memorandum to the finance bill. If you see memorandum explaining the provisions of the finance bill, this becomes one of the crucial document to understand the provisions of finance bill. App amendments you can gather from the Income Tax Act itself, because in the footnotes it provides this is inserted by this act, or it is relevant from effective from this particular date. But to have an understanding why the provision is there, what is the reason why they have, you know, make this amendment, the logic, the reason is given in this memorandum. This is one of the important document to understand it. अभी आपको फाइनेंस बिल आप जो देखोगे ना, अगर मैं बात करूं इनकम टैक्स एक्ट 1961 की, if we talk about 1961 and we talk about the 2025, what are the major highlights? Basically, of course, renumbered, everything is renumbered, right? And it's been simplified. But major changes, अगर आप देखोगे, it is made due to this finance bill 2026. Every year act keeps on changing, and this finance bill 2026, of course, apart from 1961 act, because some of the provisions has to be inserted in the finance act, this income tax of 1961 for the assessment year 26-27, but it also made the amendment in the new act which is relevant for tax year 26-27. You all are knowing now which is the relevant tax year for you. Just tell me which is the tax year relevant for you. Fast. Which is the tax year relevant. Very simple question for May 27 exams, for November 27 exams. Tax year, Radha, tax year, tell me, abhi at presently we are in 2026, right? We are in 2026, 1st April 26 and 31st March 27. You all please tell me, Radha आपने बोला 25-26 tax year है. Kanaya is telling 26-27. Jyoti, you also please tell me. Srinidhi, you also please tell me. Other students who are viewing through tax YouTube, please join us. Yes. आप confused मत होइए. This is the tax year 26-27. This is the tax year 26-27. This is very important. Now you know the concept of assessment year is no longer there. The concept of previous year is being replaced with the term tax year. Means the year in which the income is earned. So this is the tax year 26-27 and for May exam and November 27 exam. May and November 27 exam, the tax year is 26-27. Please keep in mind. If you are telling me 25-26 तक आपका previous year ही बोलते थे. But अगर हम there is any reference, if you go through this 536 is already being discussed with you all, okay? And in detail, this provision we will be discussing in the miscellaneous provisions once again, 536, but to have a brief overview because it's a transitional provisions. How we are transitioned from the existing act to the new act. There are certain things. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका assessments खत्म हो जाएंगे in the new act, earlier act. These will continue. To make them workable, there is a section that is section 536. ठीक है? This is repeal and saving provisions. ठीक है? This is very, very important. ठीक है? Ab Alka, you also joined. Very good. We are noting your mail IDs and today we will try to do it today or by tomorrow. All the documents, that is Income Tax Act 2025, we will be mailing you. We will be mailing you the income tax rules. And then, of course, chapter 1 and chapter 2. These are the major things. Then this is, आपको मैंने बताया था memorandum. Memorandum आपका explain करता है all the provisions of the Finance Bill 2026. आप ये देखोगे, this is a very, very important document for every act. For financial year, they are writing for financial year 26-27. This has now become the tax year 26-27. It is providing the rates for the financial year 26-27. Right? Now, assessment year term is gone. आप देखोगे, for example, मैं आपसे बात करूं certain amendments की. I just want to show you one thing. If we are talking about this exemption on interest income under Motor Vehicle Act, they are giving some exemption. क्या बोल रहे हैं? Existing section 11 inter alia provides exemptions. अभी हम यही आज डिस्कस करने का, हमारा टॉपिक यही है luckily that we are going to discuss these exemptions provisions and there are certain schedules. We will be understanding how to read the new act. First of all, we should understand how to read the new act because methodology to read the act now has been changed. Okay, that we are going to discuss. This is talking about that existing section 11 of the Income Tax Act 2025. Inter alia provides for exemptions included in Schedule 3 subject to the fulfillment certain conditions. It is talking about certain. So it is talking about in order to alleviate the sufferings of victims. What is the logic? I cannot, I think this is PDF from which I downloaded from there. I am not able to write anything on this. In order to alleviate sufferings of victims of such accident and their family, which may cause extreme hardship to the aggrieved person and family, it is proposed to amend this shared schedule to provide exemption to an individual or the legal heir on any income in the nature of आपको Motor Vehicle Act से you are getting some compensation. ठीक है, motor vehicle from the insurance companies or from this you are getting some compensation is being awarded by the tribunal. कोई accidents happens and the government gives you some compensation on that grounds, right? And you got it, the compensation awarded by the tribunal under the SAD act. तो उसमें interest you are receiving something. That interest की exemption दिया उन्होंने, why? Because they want to help those people. right? They understand their sufferings and they provide it. So this is the, I'm just telling you, this is the background to understand the amendments. So this is a very important document which I want to tell you. You have to access it. Now you have gone through the, let's now begin our recap of the basic concepts provision. Chapter 1 ka recap, let's start, I think. And meanwhile, there are many some important considerations, you can say important things which are being brought from May 27 examination, which we are going to discuss today. Okay, so आप मुझे बताओ जल्दी जल्दी, जस्ट एक ब्रॉड टॉपिक्स लिख के बताओ. How many things, what we have discussed in the basic concepts chapter. Just fast, broad topics. I do not want to, just एक बार मेरे को broad topics आप just tell me. While I'm writing this recap of chapter 1 basic concepts. ठीक है, ये आपका चैप्टर हो गया. आप मुझे सिर्फ ब्रॉड टॉपिक्स जल्दी से आप प्लीज राइट डाउन फास्ट. What you have learned, जो भी आपको याद आ रहा है, you write through the chat. Okay, I'm just waiting for you. What you have learned, what you understood, what we have covered. What is the overview of the chapter 1 basic concepts and why it is essential and what type of questions can be asked from this chapter. I'm waiting for your replies. Rather, I will resolve. You are saying tax year 24. No, please, rather, please understand. This Income Tax Act is effective from 1st April 2026. The Income Tax Act 2025 is effective from 1st April 2026 only. So it is applicable for the tax year which begins from 1st April 26. Got it? Accordingly, the first tax year from which the Income Tax Act 2025 is applicable is your 26-27. Don't get confused. Still, the Income Tax Act returns you must be filing as per the old act for assessment year 26-27, which we are going through, and the practical who are doing their practical training existing, they must be doing their tax audit for the assessment year 26-27 based on the old act only, repealed act only 1961. Okay, the written filing process for the tax year 26-27 will start only after the end of a tax year 26-27. So don't get confused with the word tax year 26-27, or it is relevant from tax year 26-27 only. Got it? So I have received some replies. Yes. Very good. So आपको मैंने देखा, आपको जो याद रहा ना, जितने भी सेक्शंस आप जो भी आपने सभी ने सब XYZ आपने जितने उन्हें भी लिखा है ना, सबको ना प्रैक्टिकल एस्पेक्ट्स याद रहे. ये होता है, मतलब मैं एज ए फैकल्टी बोलूं या फिर व्हेन आई वाज अ स्टूडेंट, जब भी मैं टैक्स लॉ का पेपर, व्हेन एवर आई स्टार्ट विद रीडिंग द टैक्स लॉज, तो मुझे हमेशा प्रैक्टिकल एस्पेक्ट्स पे इंटरेस्ट आता था. हमें होता है ऐसा, तो हम थोड़ा थ्योरेटिकल को छोड़े, थ्योरेटिकल क्वेश्चन से आते भी नहीं है. आपको कभी नहीं पूछा जाएगा कि हु इज एन एसएससी, इस तरीके से क्वेश्चन आपको नहीं पुट अप होंगे. व्हाट इज एन इनकम, है ना, व्हाट इज द टैक्स ईयर, ये हम तो इंटर लेवल पे भी आपको असेस नहीं किया होगा इस तरीके से, तो ये तो क्वेश्चन है ही नहीं. बट प्रैक्टिकल without understanding the theoretical part is not possible. No, possible ही नहीं है. इसलिए आप सबने बहुत अच्छा लिखा कि आपने सर्कुलर्स, जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट्स, टैक्स स्लैब्स, यस, व्हाई इट इज एसेंशियल. सो लेट्स बिगिन. सबसे पहले हमने स्टार्ट किया था ओवरव्यू ऑफ इनकम टैक्स लॉ. सबसे पहले हमने यही स्टार्ट किया था. उसके बाद हमने स्टार्ट किया क्या स्टार्ट किया था हमने? कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ, बहुत बेसिक था, दैट वाज वेरी बेसिक, कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ इनकम टैक्स लॉ। और देखिए आपने ये सब कुछ पढ़ा, कंपोनेंट्स पढ़े आपने, यू हैव व्हाट आर द कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ इनकम टैक्स लॉ, वेरी फास्ट, वेरी वेरी फास्ट, व्हाट आर द वेरी वेरी बेसिक क्वेश्चन। लेकिन अभी भी आपके अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज नॉट दैट क्लियर कि आपको भी टैक्स ईयर के कंसेप्ट में क्लैरिटी नहीं है। सो दिस इज वेरी एसेंशियल, राइट? जल्दी से बताओ, व्हाट आर द कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ इनकम टैक्स लॉ, फास्ट। बहुत ज्यादा कुछ है ही नहीं इसमें, आपको सेक्शन 536 समझ में नहीं आया, आई विल टेक इट, मैं पूरा बेयर एक्ट के साथ ही आपको 536 आई विल एक्सप्लेन, बट वो थोड़ा सा आप अप्रिशिएट तभी कर पाओगे व्हेन यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग दी procedural law. You should have some understanding of the procedural law also, and you should have know the concession tax regimes. But major, only the major chunk that we can discuss 536 through the whatever we have covered in the basic concept that we can take up. But आपको डिटेल अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए यू शुड हैव द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द ओवरऑल प्रोविजंस ऑफ द एक्ट, ठीक है? उसके लिए दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव पुट इन डिटेल इन मिसलेनियस प्रोविजंस चैप्टर 19. Okay, so components, who is writing? Yes, income tax act, अभी 2025 है. Income tax rules, very good. Who is given this answer? Alka. Very good, Alka. You have captured everything. Very good, Kanhaiya. राधा, वेरी नाइस, वेरी नाइस. इनकम टैक्स रूल्स, रूल्स भी आपके भाई टैक्स ईयर 26-27 से ही है, ठीक है? दीज आर ऑल्सो, जब एक्ट अप्लीकेबल हुआ तभी से आपका इनकम टैक्स रूल्स इज ऑल्सो अप्लीकेबल. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, दिस इज फाइनेंस एक्ट, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू ना, कि एवरी ईयर फाइनेंस एक्ट 2026, ठीक है? Annually amendments are taking place through this finance act, regular amendments, and to administer the provisions of the income tax act, income tax rules are there. Apart from that, in between, certain powers are being given to the CBDT or the central government to provide for certain rules, to provide for the guidelines, to provide for the circulars clarification. So that can be provided by the CBDT. So circulars and notification are the important part. Circulars ऑब्लिक नोटिफिकेशंस. एक देखा होगा आपने, if you have noticed, notifications of course are the amendments which are taking place in the rules actually through the notifications, and it can be issued by the central government, it can be issued by the CBDT. It empowered, the act itself empowered the authority, CBDT or the central government to come out with the notifications. Circulars are for the purpose of providing the clarifications to the assessees, and they are not binding on the assessees, but they are binding on the assessing officers. Apart from that, guidelines भी आती हैं. आपने देखा होगा गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, सर्टेन सेक्शंस में, अभी आपका 393 हो गया टीसीएस का प्रोविजंस है ना, सीरियल नंबर्स हैं उसके. आप पूछोगे मेरे को सीरियल नंबर्स हमें याद करने के नहीं आते, नहीं, उस पर हम डिस्कशन करेंगे. आपका गाइडलाइंस भी इशू करती है गवर्नमेंट. Guidelines are the mandatory part. These are mandatory, but they come out by way of circulars. अगर आप देखोगे circulars के through ही guidelines आती हैं, but it is necessary that they should be presented before the parliament, before both houses of parliament, right? Then only these guidelines can be issued. And the guidelines का number is also given in the form of a circulars. For example, आपका 194Q जो कि 393 subsection 1 में है, 194R, which is on benefits, tax on the perquisites and the benefits. उनके respect में guidelines थी. These are the guidelines which are being powered. The power is given through the act itself, and these are mandatorily to be followed, even though these are issued as a circulars. Guidelines आया, Income Tax Act हुआ, Finance Act 2026 आया. Then आपका important is your judicial rulings. I don't know how many of you have gone through your पास्ट ईयर पेपर्स और द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, अगर आप पहले से प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, एंड तो आप जुडिशियल रूलिंग्स के लिए भी यू मस्ट बी बिकॉज जुडिशियल रूलिंग्स आर द इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ एनी लॉ. फॉर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट ऑल्सो द जुडिशियल रूलिंग्स आर देयर. नाउ माई क्वेश्चन टू यू, द जुडिशियल रूलिंग्स which were decided with respect to the 1961 Act, because अभी तो नया एक्ट आया, you are not going to do the get the new rulings. The judicial rulings, the judicial decisions which were are decided with respect to the Income Tax Act, are they really relevant for you? Are they really relevant for you? The in judicial rulings decided which were decided with respect to the, yes, Kanaya, you are right. So आपका स्टडी मटेरियल में, because what happens, the provisions are still the same, and certain decisions, the Supreme Court decision become the land of law, right? Of course, the high courts have a divergent views, but they are still relevant for you. Why? They, because the provisions remains the same, it's being simplified things. Or circulars or notifications also. Section 536J, if you read, right, clause J, if you read, it talks about the circulars or notifications which were issued under the repealed act and not consistent with the new act 2025 are relevant, remain in force, would remain in force. This is written in section 536. And for that purpose, if you go through this, this is our first module which we are having, and in this, because of these sub rulings and the circulars and notifications, so here 536(2)J says that any agreement entered into or appointment made, any agreement, DTA agreements were made by virtue of section 90, right? And now it's become new 159. So whatever be the agreement you have done, whatever the approvals you have granted, recognitions granted, circulars, directions, instructions, notifications, whatever, under the repealed Income Tax Act 1961, that would be is deemed to have been entered into or made or framed under the corresponding provisions of the new act and shall continue to remain in force. But the important thing, which are not inconsistent. ठीक है, आपको provision पढ़ना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद you have to identify whether they are inconsistent or consistent. If they are not inconsistent, then they would be remain effective. And those notifications and circulars which were issued under the repealed Income Tax Act 1961, we have covered in the study material as well. We have covered these things in our study material, but of course, what we have done, because to unnecessarily create a confusion in the minds of the students, what we have done, we have continue to include in our study material, but we these things we have incorporated by giving the reference to whatever the reference is given for the old act have been replaced with the corresponding sections corresponding for ease of comprehension. Okay, they were issued and the reference were given for the old act, and we have not provided any to avoid any kind of confusions and for ease of comprehensions. We have included those circulars and notifications just by giving the reference, just replacing those references to the new act. Similarly, for the significant Supreme Court rulings, this also being informing part of your content, and these are really equally relevant. And this basically a full-fledged question should not be actually asked because of the new act is not there. But of course, these can be tested. These of course can be tested in while doing your computations problems. If you know that the 70% portions may, the first compulsory question is based on the computation of total income and tax liability of company or various entities. It can be your firm, it can be your cooperative society, anything. These rulings, whatever being decided in the new old act, are relevant while solving that question. Okay? So what we have done, we have included those rulings in our content, continuation of the content relating to a particular provisions, this being incorporated in our study material. Earlier, these are being given as a significant select cases at the end of the chapter. Before this test your knowledge questions, now we have covered it along with the content itself. Okay? This is very, very important. So now you know judicial rulings are very, very important for you, whatever covered in the existing Act 1961. But of course, it's a new act. New act पे भी as such कुछ नहीं है. Now then, thereafter we have gone through components के बाद rules of interpretations. ये मैं आपको discuss नहीं करूंगी, already आप discuss कर चुके हैं. ठीक है? we will be sending this chapter, so don't worry, you can just go through these things. Abhi bahut zyada we are not going to study in the chapter 2, but just go through this chapter itself for the next class, and only the agricultural income part I would try to finish it today. Then charge of tax. Charge of tax is really, really, really very, very important. Where whole income tax revolves around this charge of tax. From this, the definitions or definition of section 4, which is given in section 4, charging section, right, of the Income Tax Act, certain terms are being called out. For example, the definition of total income, the tax rates, then the definition of person, definition of income, because it's the basic driving section of whole act, right? So charge of tax, you have done it. Then we have done it, the important definitions. कौन से definitions we have done? Which all definitions we have done? Just tell me. Or why they are necessary? आप पहले definitions बता दो कौन सी हमने which all definitions which we have done. Of course, it is relevant. Yes, that means the circulars are just updated form of 1961 judge. Circulars are different from the judicial rulings, right? Circulars are different from the judicial rulings. Circulars are issued by the CBDT and judicial rulings are pronounced by the High Court, Supreme Court, tribunal rulings also, but tribunal rulings are not assessed at final level. Okay, we do not assess the tribunal rulings because tribunal rulings basically so many tribunals have decided their things, and you will find divergent views on certain tribunals. And of course, Supreme Court rulings are very essential. Our emphasis is on Supreme Court rulings, but certain High Court rulings are also very important. Those are forming part of your content. Okay, so these being updated as per the we cannot make any changes. Of course, only the reference numbers to in these circulars and judicial rulings is being replaced with the section numbers given in the new act. That's the difference. Right. So Alka, total income, yes, total income is very necessary. Then we have discussed assessee bola, person, income, very good. So total income, basically income की term आपने discuss की होगी. Then आपने assessee discuss किया, assessment discuss किया हमने, person discuss किया, person बहुत very important. Person, then of course the important term that is tax year. इसके अलावा टैक्स ईयर, पर्सन की डेफिनेशन में हम अब बहुत कुछ डिस्कस किया हमने, पर्सन पे जाके टैक्स ईयर किया. उसके अलावा what all we discussed, this is all thing. And tax year का फिर you have discussed कि if because your assessed the income is earned in a tax year, that would be assessed in the subsequent year. However, there are certain exceptions to that rule that after the tax year generally the income is assessed, but there are certain exceptions. Those we have discussed. Person की definition. Why the definition of person is very very necessary. क्यों नहीं सिर्फ एक ही नाम देके सबको टैक्स कर देते? Why there is a need for person? Tax year, assessee, person, right? Person की definition की क्या जरूरत थी? Why? Why we need a different kind of persons? Why the act has defining different kind of persons, different rates? एक ही tax rate लगाओ, easy बनाओ, कर सकते थे. But still, first they have defined it. So persons की definition में आपने क्या क्या पढ़ा? Individuals. Me, you, इस तरीके से आपका individuals. Then आपने firms पढ़ा. उससे पहले हम HUF कर लेते हैं. HUF की definition बहुत डिटेल में नहीं बताया होगा इनको, of course, because हम ये डिटेल में meaning and understanding is covered in your chapter 9, that is assessment of various entities. ठीक है? Assessment HUF, then firm, LLP, company की दो categories, domestic और foreign company पढ़ा. बहुत मेजर प्रोविजंस है इसके differences. All the act is आपका different provisions for the foreign company, for the domestic companies, different concession tax rates are there. So first of all we should understand ठीक है, आपको पता है, आपको क्वेश्चन ये नहीं पूछेंगे कि वेदर इज डोमेस्टिक कंपनी फॉरेन कंपनी, आपसे क्वेश्चन ये नहीं पुटअप होगा कभी भी। इसके बाद आपने क्या पढ़ा, अभी मैं बताती हूँ किस तरीके से क्वेश्चंस पुटअप हो सकते हैं यहाँ से। कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज, देन EOPBOI, सारा everything is being given in detail at chapter 9. EOPBI, local authority, or residuary clause, that is your AJP, artificial juridical person, right? This is all they have divided. अब आपको ये पता है, क्वेश्चन में आपको पता है कि द पर्सन इज एन इंडिविजुअल को टेस्ट कर रहे हैं, HUF को टेस्ट कर रहे हैं, फर्म को कर रहे हैं, LLP, बिकॉज सेपरेट प्रोविजंस आर देयर फॉर असेसिंग दीज पीपल, राइट? अब आप बात करते हैं इंडिविजुअल्स की। अब इसको जस्ट वी ट्राई टू लिंक अप कि किस तरीके से इंडिविजुअल का असेसमेंट होगा। हाउ इंडिविजुअल्स का, व्हाट यू हैव रीड कि इंडिविजुअल है भाई, आप हो, मैं है, वी ऑल आर इंडिविजुअल्स ओनली, राइट? टैक्स रेट्स आपने पढ़ा होगा उसके बाद में। टैक्स रेट्स के लिए व्हाट हैपेंस, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट? देखो इंडिविजुअल्स का बेसिकली आप देखोगे ना, in detail the computation of tax total income and the tax liability in an optimizing manner already being discussed at in detail at intermediate level. हम इंटर पे बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ के आ चुके हैं इंडिविजुअल्स का टैक्सेबिलिटी कंप्यूटेशंस। तो फुल फ्लेश्ड क्वेश्चन जो 15 मार्क्स का होगा वो इंडिविजुअल्स पे नहीं होगा, बट इंडिविजुअल्स की अंडरस्टैंडिंग और असेसमेंट with respect to individuals can be assessed in international taxation. Are you getting me? इंडिविजुअल की टैक्सेबिलिटी, जो आप अभी टैक्स रेट्स पढ़ रहे हो, और वॉट एवर द लिमिटेड कंटेंट वी हैव कवर्ड इन आर चैप्टर 1 विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सैलरीज, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू हाउस प्रॉपर्टी, दैट ऑल्सो वी हैव कवर्ड, राइट? 5 हेड्स ऑफ इनकम है, बट आपने देखा होगा इन आर स्टडी मटेरियल देयर इज नो सेपरेट चैप्टर फॉर सैलरीज, फॉर हाउस प्रॉपर्टी. द लिमिटेड कंटेंट इज कवर्ड एट चैप्टर 1 ओनली, एंड दिस कैन बी असिस्ट। कहाँ पे असिस्ट कर सकते हैं इसको? आपका NR taxation में, which is your chapter 21. Questions can be asked. Individual की residential status, first of all you should know, because taxability for a resident and a non-resident determination is different for a resident or a non-resident. That aspects, the provisions, certain provisions, specific sections are there for the non-residents. So those sections, those important provisions are there with respect to non-resident taxation, which we are dealt with chapter 21, and DTA provisions. DTA आप देखोगे, one or the other questions every time in examination being asked from DTA provisions. This is one of the important provisions, जिसके अभी पहले section 90 था, 91 था. Now because with the country which we are having a DTA, this DTA is contained in section of earlier in 90 and 91. Do you know what is the new section in the new act with respect to DTA provisions? Anyone who would like to answer? DTA का कौन से sections है, याद है किसी को? ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, याद नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं, हम अभी जस्ट लर्न कर रहे हैं न्यू थिंग्स, है ना? सो अगर किसी ने पढ़ा है, इफ यू हैव समवन गॉन थ्रू, तो दे कैन टेल मी. नाउ इट इज सेक्शन 159 एंड 160. ऐसा नहीं कि मुझे सारे प्रोविजंस याद हैं, मैं भी आई ऑल्सो हैव टू रेफर, यू नो, आई ऑल्सो हैव टू रेफर दिस एक्ट इटसेल्फ. में देखोगे मेरे पास आई हैव दिस बेयर एक्ट, while updating your module I am using this bear act, I'm using your whatever this your income tax rules. Every time I keep on referring this income tax rules, income tax act, only then we can do. So it's not necessary that आपको सब कुछ याद होगा, अभी धीरे धीरे डेफिनेटली, बिकॉज आप बोलोगे कि सेक्शन नंबर्स कोड करना जरूरी है. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, एवरीवन हैव रेज योर हैंड्स. किस किस के माइंड में होते हैं कि सेक्शन नंबर कोड करना जरूरी होता है एग्जाम्स में? जस्ट रेज योर हैंड्स. क्या हमें वो लर्न करना पड़ेगा? राधा, अलका, एवरीवन, है ना? सबको ये डाउट होता है कि हमें सेक्शन नंबर्स के मार्क्स मिलते हैं एग्जाम्स में. या मुझे भी था. देखो सी स्टूडेंट्स, सेक्शन नंबर कोड करना इज नॉट मैंडेटरी इन योर एग्जाम्स, and there is no specific marks are being allocated to section numbers. Now you can just lower down your hands. I know this is the basic questions every student is having कि मैम section numbers. अब तो new act में it become more difficult for us because certain things are converted into tables and then they are converted into serial numbers. अब हमें हर चीज याद करनी पड़ेगी क्या नया एक्ट में? Actually, frankly speaking, there is no separate marking is there for section numbers. But remembering the provisions or understanding the provisions, to understand the provision or remember the provision, it is essential that you read that provision with the help of the section numbers. आप जब section numbers के साथ पढ़ते हो ना, whenever you read a particular provision along with the section numbers, it is easily retain it, it easy to understand it, it easy to refer it. अगर हम किसी से डिस्कस करने चाहते हैं तो हम नाम तो होना चाहिए ना किसी चीज का. अगर मैं आपकी बात करूं, मैं मेरे बारे में यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, तो देयर मस्ट बी सम नेम, यू नो, देन ओनली यू कैन जस्ट आस्क मी एंड डिस्कस अबाउट मी. सो रिमेंबरिंग द सेक्शन नंबर somehow makes the understanding of the provision easy. So लिखना is not compulsory. आपको याद नहीं हो रहे हैं सेक्शन नंबर्स, पहले तो अभी आपके पास बहुत सफिशिएंट टाइम है. यू हैव एम्पल टाइम फॉर योर May 27 एग्जामिनेशन. डू योर 3 rounds ऑफ स्टडी. डू योर 3 rounds ऑफ स्टडी. वी आर एट प्रेजेंटली डूइंग फर्स्ट राउंड. ठीक है, हमारा फर्स्ट राउंड शुरू हो रहा है बिकॉज आपका नया एक्ट है. मुझे पता है कि आपने, इफ यू हैव डन योर ओल्ड एक्ट, तो आपको यू हैव टू अनलर्न द प्रोविजंस, यू हैव टू अनलर्न द सेक्शन नंबर्स एंड रीलर्न दी सेक्शन नंबर्स. दिस इज द मेजर टास्क. बट वन मोर इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग कि आपको सेक्शन नंबर्स लिखना जरूरी नहीं होता. सेक्शन नंबर्स लिखना जरूरी नहीं होता, बट इट एड वैल्यू टू योर आंसर्स. इफ आई एम राइटिंग अ सेक्शन नंबर्स एंड यू नो making my answer sheets by referring the section numbers, of course it gets a good impression value add to my answers. Examiner जहां चाह रहा होगा कि give 1 or 2 marks, he will try to give 2.5 marks. ठीक है, वो एक माइंडसेट बन जाता है जो विल बी द पेपर सेक्टर कि ये बच्चे को सेक्शन नंबर्स के थ्रू ही इज एबल टू डिटेल आउट द प्रोविजंस. तो इट्स बेटर. सर्टेन प्रोविजंस आर सच विच इज वेरी नेसेसरी कि आप सेक्शन नंबर्स के थ्रू करो याद. कहीं कुछ जगहों पे जरूरी नहीं होता. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं डीटीए का क्वेश्चन आता है, सपोज देयर इज अ डीटीए क्वेश्चन, अब आप वहां पे सेक्शन की पूरी डिटेलिंग इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. द क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग यू टू कंप्यूट द टोटल इनकम एंड टैक्स लायबिलिटी. रिलीफ मिलता है आपको, फॉरेन टैक्स क्रेडिट मिलता है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द टैक्सेस विच यू हैव पेड आउटसाइड इंडिया. वो कहाँ है? 2 sections है. इजी रेफर में करूंगी तो आपको सीधे 159 160, ओनली दीज 2 sections. तो आप नहीं भी करोगे, कंप्यूटेशन प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, बट आपको प्रोविजन से सब्सटेंशिएट करना इज वेरी नेसेसरी. प्रोविजन से सब्सटेंशिएट करना मीन्स इसका क्या मतलब है कि हमें एज इट इज प्रोविजन लिखना पड़ेगा. डियर स्टूडेंट्स, फर्स्ट रीड द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. क्वेश्चन की रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है वो पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी होता है. कभी भी कोई भी एग्जाम हो, क्वेश्चन की रिक्वायरमेंट इज वेरी नेसेसरी फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड. बेस्ड ऑन द रिक्वायरमेंट यू हैव टू सब्सटेंशिएट इट विद द प्रोविजन. विदाउट प्रोविजन आप येस और नो में कंक्लूड नहीं कर सकते. यू हैव टू सब्सटेंशिएट इट. ठीक है, अब इसलिए सेक्शन नंबर्स पे हमने बहुत अभी बात करी, अभी हमें आगे भी डिस्कस करना है बिकॉज आई वांट टू टेक योर चैप्टर 2 ऑल्सो. तो बात यह है कि अभी जब आप पढ़ रहे हो, व्हेनेवर यू आर स्टडिंग, try to learn the provision with the help of the section numbers. कैसे substantiate करना है वो gradually we will learn during our next classes. मैंने कहा individuals के बारे में हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे. We have diverted to our new things. Yes मैम, ऑटोमेटिकली आई विल रिमेंबर सेक्शन. अभी से आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे आपको सेक्शन नंबर्स याद हो जाएंगे और डेफिनेटली इट विल एड वैल्यू. बट गलत सेक्शन नंबर मत कोट करके आना. ठीक है, अगर आपको सेक्शन नंबर्स याद नहीं है तो रॉन्ग कोटिंग मत करना. ठीक है, सीरियल नंबर्स याद करना जरूर. इट्स अ चैलेंजिंग टास्क फॉर एवरीवन, फॉर ऑल द टैक्स प्रैक्टिशनर्स ऑल्सो. बट थोड़ा सा इफ यू मेक सम लिंकिंग देन इट वुड बी इजी फॉर यू. यू कैन डू राइट. उसके कोई मार्क्स नहीं होते हैं, बस ये आप ध्यान रखिएगा. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोविजन विद द हेल्प ऑफ द सेक्शन नंबर्स. ग्रेजुअली विल लर्न इट. इंडिविजुअल की टैक्सेबिलिटी की बात कर रहे थे. वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट द इंडिविजुअल टैक्सेबिलिटी. व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू इज द टैक्स रेट्स. टैक्स रेट्स आपने फर्स्ट चैप्टर में पढ़ा. ठीक है, हमने टैक्स रेट्स आपको फर्स्ट चैप्टर में बताया. अब टैक्स रेट्स के लिए व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द इंडिविजुअल्स, कहाँ कहाँ पे जाके आपको टैक्स रेट्स देखनी पड़ती है. या सो कहाँ कहाँ पे वेयर यू विल गो टू आइडेंटिफाई द टैक्स रेट्स. यू जस्ट टेल मी फास्ट. आई वॉन्ट दिस आंसर फ्रॉम यू नाउ. यू हैव डन योर आपने आप भी अपने बेसिक कंसेप्ट चैप्टर पढ़ लिया है. आप मुझे जल्दी से बताइए, टैक्स रेट्स के लिए आपको रूल्स में जाना पड़ेगा राधा. आशुतोष, यस. फाइनेंस एक्ट शेड्यूल, यस, वेरी गुड. सम अदर आंसर्स? यस. ओके, 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 नो प्रॉब्लम राधा. अदर्स? फाइनेंस एक्ट शेड्यूल, ओके. व्हाट अबाउट अदर्स? उसके अलावा फॉर इंडिविजुअल्स के लिए बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्शन है वो आपके लिए. ऐसा नहीं कि इंटर पे पढ़ के आगे तो इंडिविजुअल सब करना ही नहीं है. नो नो प्लीज, बिकॉज इट विल बी टेस्टेड. मैंने बोला आपको एनआर टैक्सेशन में, और आपका टेस्टिंग इसकी इन दी व्हाट वी से डीटीए प्रोविजंस होनी ही होनी है. जल्दी से बता दो. फाइनेंस एक्ट सबने लिखा है, किसी ने एक सेक्शन भूल रहा है कोई. समवन इज, एवरीवन इज फॉरगेटिंग वन सेक्शन नाउअडेज. इट्स बिकम वेरी वेरी रिलेवेंट. आपने रेट्स ऑफ टैक्स के टाइम पे पढ़ा भी होगा. सेक्शन 3, नो नो नो, याद करो. Yes, very good, Ashutosh. Very, very good. Excellent. That's answer I want from you, यार. आप मतलब you have done your basic concept chapter. Finance Act, of course. Finance Act is very essential. ठीक है. Finance Act का schedule, first schedule to the Finance Act gives you the tax rates for normal provisions कहते हैं हम इसको. आपका one more section is there which is providing the concessional tax rate. Let me draw chart. देखो, concessional tax rates. अब एक्ट में उसको न्यू टैक्स रिजाइम से रेफर किया है. दिस इज बीइंग रेफर्ड एज न्यू टैक्स रिजाइम. ओल्ड एक्ट में क्या नाम था? व्हाट इज द सेक्शन नंबर? याद है किसी को? नहीं याद है, कोई बात नहीं. आई डू नॉट वांट टू अननेसेसरी आपको पहले का भी याद हो, अभी का भी याद हो. नो, अब हम नया 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 याद करना है, न्यू याद करना है. ठीक है. एंड न्यू टैक्स रिजाइम रेफर किया है. अब इसको न्यू टैक्स रिजाइम रेफर कर दिया. व्हाट अबाउट नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस? ऐसा कुछ नाम नहीं है. There is no name for normal provisions of the act. इसके लिए for ease of reference, actually for ease of reference, this is contained in section 202, right? Yes, Alka, very good. So 202 है, इसके लिए normal provisions हैं. Why? Because it's a self-contained code. जो tax rates है, apart from the Finance Act schedule, this section itself is providing the concessional tax rates. Means आप total income compute करके आएंगे. You have to compute the total income, but you have to forego certain deductions and exemptions. And this is, you have to memorize also. What are the exemptions, deductions which are not available to you? That you have to remember. I'm not going to quote again this thing. ठीक है, आपको भेजेंगे हम. आप प्लीज ट्राई टू लर्न थे. आप धीरे धीरे यू विल ग्रेजुअली लर्न. आप डिस्कशन के टाइम पे भी बेसिकली सैलरीज है, हाउस प्रॉपर्टी है, इसी के केस में, इंडिविजुअल्स के केस में आप देखोगे. Of course, 35 पहले 3580 था. Now it's I think 46 or something. That section I really have to open that at. So new tax regime में certain things has to be forgo. ठीक है. Concessional tax rates are itself given in the section itself. Normal provisions for ease of reference, how we are referring to, we are referring it as, because ऐसा कुछ word कहीं पे ना आपको memorandum में मिलेगा relating to that default tax regime word. They have not used anywhere. But for ease of reference, in our books, we are referring it as default tax regime, and there is a logic. There is a logic why we are calling it as a default tax regime. Default tax regime, and this is your optional. देखो बहुत बेसिक है ये, तो आपके अभी शुरुआत है. ठीक है ना. दिस इज वेरी बेसिक फॉर यू. ऑप्शनल टैक्स regime for ease of reference, है ना. Yes, Radha is right that she is saying why it is default tax regime. Unless assessee ऐसा नहीं सिर्फ इंडिविजुअल्स के लिए है ये. This is for all whom assessee, all which all assessees can all persons can opt for it, can pay tax, has to pay tax because it's an default tax regime, right? Yes, Alka is right. Yes, you have done the filing work and you should do, because you have already in individuals, HUF, AOP, BOI, AJP, right? For those people. आपने पढ़ा होगा. Very good. So this is the default unless assessee shifts out. Unless assessee shifts out of section 202, ठीक है, which is given in subsection 4. Section 202 subsection 4 is giving an option to the assessee to come out from I should also use some different colors, so that it make more I really don't know. So shift out 202.4 provides you to shift out of this scheme, shift out of this section 202.1, which is providing for the concession tax rate, subject to the condition that you have to forego certain exemptions and deductions which are otherwise available under the normal provisions of the Act. So if you shift out, then you will pay tax as per the optional tax regime. That means rates given in the Finance Act. Is that clear? समझ में आ रहा है ना? बहुत इजी है, सबने पढ़ा है. So अब डिफॉल्ट टैक्स रिजाइन की मैं आपसे रेट्स नहीं पूछूंगी, आप प्लीज रेट्स पढ़ लीजिएगा. व्हाट ऑल आर द डिफरेंसेस बेसिकली, यू जस्ट टेल मी. आई एम नॉट आस्किंग यू व्हाट आर द स्लैब रेट्स. वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग, एक क्वेश्चन करेंगे तो आपको एक स्लैब रेट्स का भी आई विल मेक जस्ट गिव अ रेफरेंस. तो आप यू जस्ट टेल मी व्हाट आर द डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन दिस कंसेशन. सिर्फ टैक्स रेट्स का डिफरेंस है, एक तो डिफरेंस टैक्स रेट्स का, कंसेशन टैक्स रेट्स हैं. One more thing, that you have to forego certain exemptions and your exemptions and deductions. Apart from these two differences, I want to ask you, what all or other differences? क्या differences हैं? Very good, राधा. राधा ने एक point capture कर लिया. Very good. Rebate. किस section में rebate? First is rebate. Which section? ओल्ड सेक्शन मत बताओ, नया सेक्शन बताओ. आपने पढ़ चुका है नया सेक्शन. वेरी गुड आशुतोष. 156. देखो, पढ़ाई को थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग बनाते हैं ना, थोड़ा समझने की कोशिश करते हैं, उससे क्या होना है, इजीली याद रहेगा. आपने अगर मैं इस तरीके से कर लिया ना, दिस इज द फंडामेंटल. ये दिस कंसेप्ट बिल्डिंग जो हम कर रहे हैं ना, टैक्स रेट्स को समझने की या फिर डिफरेंसेस को समझने की, दिस विल हेल्प यू टू अंडरस्टैंड द लेटर प्रोविजंस आल्सो. अल्टीमेटली व्हाट इज द objective to levy the income tax, to collect the taxes, right? वो taxes के computations के लिए tax rates are the crucial part. Okay. Yeah, I know that certain deductions and exemptions you have to forego, and this standard deduction is one of the difference. And of course, to promote the standard deduction, this is higher in the default tax regime as compared to the option tax regime. This is one of the very good difference. 156. Then your surcharge. आशुतोष ने कैप्चर किया ये वाला पॉइंट सरचार्ज का. डोंट फॉरगेट इट. सरचार्ज. वेरी गुड. रिबेट. वेरी गुड. 156 याद है सबको, बहुत अच्छा. सो सरचार्ज के डिफरेंसेस है, रिबेट्स के डिफरेंसेस हैं. अब आई नीड नॉट टू एक्सप्लेन कि हाउ व्हाट आर द डिफरेंसेस. बहुत क्रूशियल जो डिफरेंस है ना, वो समझ लो. जो बच्चे बहुत मतलब, it's a common mistake which you do. Of course, Radha is right that it is higher surcharge under the default tax regime is limited to 25% exceeding the income. Total income is very essential. आपको याद होना चाहिए कि total income कितना exceed करेगा तो 25% लगेगा. The higher rate of surcharge is 25% where the total income exceeds 2 crores. यहाँ पे 37% है, right? यहाँ पे normal provisions में, this is normal provisions, or I can say this is your optional tax regime. This I'm just referring it to OT, optional tax regime, OTR we can refer. ठीक है, this is your DTR, default tax regime. Surcharge higher 25% है, यहाँ 37% है. Rebate, total income does not exceed 12 lakh. यहाँ पे if total income does not exceed 5 lakhs. ठीक है. Okay, of course, whatever will be the tax liability or 60,000 rupees, whichever is higher, will be allowed as your, whichever is lower, I think, is allowed as your rebate. And OTR में again 12,500, or the tax liability, whichever is lower, is allowed as your rebate, right? 12,500. This is major difference जो आपको बताना चाह रही हूँ. Anyone? Because this is the minor point. Of course, बहुत छोटा सा point है. But it is very essential. जो बच्चे कॉमनली मिस्टेक कर देते हैं. यस, वेरी गुड कन्हैया, वेरी गुड. Actually, आपको पता है स्पेशल टैक्स रेट्स भी you have gone through the special tax rates 196, 197, 198. These are the three provisions. Actually, अब ये जो है ना 197, 198 पहले 111A, 112, 112A, ठीक है. STCG 196 is on tax on STCG. कहाँ पे लिस्टेड शेयर्स और इक्विटी ओरिएंटेड फंड्स के केस में where the STT is paid. 197 is normal LTCG, that is equivalent to your normal LTCG. 112 मतलब other than listed equity shares or equity oriented fund, this is your again LTCG. तो ये जो special tax, whenever you are paying the special tax, this rebate is not available. Whatever the tax you are paying under these provisions, the rebate under the default tax regime is not available against the tax which you are paying under section 196, 197 and 198. If you are paying the optional tax regime, if you are paying the tax as per the optional tax regime, then except for 198, you are eligible to take the benefit of rebate. Are you getting? This is one of the important point. Plus margin relief concept is also there under the default tax regime, which is not there in the optional tax regime. ये आप लिख लीजिए. आपने पढ़ाई की, आपको रिबेट भी पता है, but this is the minor point. This is the one of the tricky area which can be tested. ठीक है, आपका फुल फ्लैश क्वेश्चन हो, डीटीए का क्वेश्चन हो या फिर आपका एना टैक्सेशन का क्वेश्चन हो, नॉन रेजिडेंट के लिए रिबेट मिलती नहीं है. That's no question of एना टैक्सेशन. So आपके लिए रेजिडेंट्स के लिए एमसीक्यू बेस्ड क्वेश्चन कैन बी आस्क्ड. 1 marker MCQ can be there. The 2 marker MCQ will be there. Of course, they will be appended with the case scenarios because your 30% is your case scenario based MCQs and 70% descriptive. So this is the tricky point which you have to remember. Marginal relief, if we are talking about rebate under the default tax regime, if you are talking about the rebate under the default tax regime, you want the break? What is the time? It's only 7:13. Please, we will take the break. Please give us some time. This is the query. Where will be the seat? Acha. So 196, 197, 198, what we are telling you, the marginal relief, if rebate is not available, you know, that total income should not include this, this LTCG and this 12 lakh ki comparison mein, they should be excluded. Okay, then you will check for the marginal relief. Now, this is about default tax regime. So, ये आपकी testing कहाँ पे हो सकती है? Your concession tax rates will be resident or non-resident. There is no distinction. Non-resident can also opt for the concessional tax rates. Okay, but relief जो आपके rebate की बात कर रहे हो, rebate will not be available. Rebate will not be available to a non-resident. ठीक है? This is the thing. Surcharge, of course, surcharge rates are same for the resident or the non-resident, right? They are same for the non-resident and the resident. So there is no question of all the things are applicable for both. But rebate के लिए you have to keep in mind if you are solving for a non-resident or a resident. This is important thing. This is all about individuals. If we talk about now, we should move forward email fast. Companies के case. Let's finish the recap of the basic concepts. Then we will be after that, after doing this recap of the basic concepts, after the break, we will be moving to the exempted income provisions. Okay, am I right? Is it clear till this point? Everyone, please raise your hands fast. Note down this Rohan Kumar number also. एक बार फिर से रिवाइज कर लेना. We will be sending the mail for these chapters. Just revise those things जिससे कि आपका ये concept तो बहुत clear हो कि क्या rebate है, क्या आपका what is your rebate amount, what is your what we say surcharge rates, what is the tax rates, concession tax regime का क्या rates है, और detailed में जो default tax regime की जो forgo provisions है will be provided in your chapter 9. वो अभी थोड़ा सा limit. But rates should be very clear. Margin relief understanding should be there, right? and because they can be tested in the form of MCQs. Basically, this testing would be happen in the form of MCQs, and while doing your computational problems, companies के case में, for example, the computational problems will be there. 196, 197, 198 section applicability in optional tax regime and DTL. Actually, students, the tax rates are same for 196, 197, and 198 under both the regimes. Only the difference that's what I am telling you. The rebate which is available if total income does not exceed 12 lakh. In that case, if you are paying the tax in the default tax regime, that rebate cannot be adjusted against the tax which is charged under these sections. It's very clear in the act. But when you are paying the tax under the optional tax regime, if you are paying the tax under the optional tax regime, then you can adjust. The rebate is available against the tax which you are paying under 196 and 197, but not under 198. 198 के अगेंस्ट में आप उसको एडजस्ट नहीं कर सकते, right? So Kanaya, do you have any query, or your query is being resolved? 197 and 198, yes, 197 and 198 both are LTCG, but let me tell you, this is for your listed shares, listed equity shares. जो आपको याद है 112 दिस इज, आपको 112 बोलेंगे तो आपको याद आ जाएगा, दिस इज योर 112, ठीक है? Listed equity shares or units of a business trust or equity oriented fund, right? And this is your normal. तो आपको याद है 1,25,000 का आपका लिमिट है, उसके बियॉन्ड ही आपका 12.5% का टैक्स रेट है. कॉमन टैक्स रेट हो चुका है 12.5% फॉर एवरीथिंग, इजी टू रिमेंबर. एंड ऑफ कोर्स दिस इज 20%, बहुत कॉमन है. यहाँ पे भी 12.5% है, यहाँ पे भी 12.5%, बट बियॉन्ड 1,25,000, right? So okay, we will try to learn with the help of the provisions, old provisions. Even I will communicate, because next time, let me see, the other faculty would be there, so I will convey this to our faculty also, so that they will explain the provisions with just giving the reference to the old provisions also. That's a well taken suggestion. So companies के case, no, fast, let's move to the companies. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. फर्म्स का केस तो बहुत इजी है, कुछ है ही नहीं कंसेशन. देयर इज नो कंसेशन रिजाइम्स फॉर द कंपनी फर्म्स, एलएलपी, कोई कंसेशन टैक्स रिजाइम्स नहीं है. फॉर योर व्हाट वी से कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज के लिए अगेन कंसेशन टैक्स रिजाइम्स है, ठीक है? लोकल अथॉरिटी के लिए अगेन देयर इज नथिंग. देन योर दिस इज ऑल. कंपनीज के लिए यू जस्ट टेल मी टू टाइप्स ऑफ कंपनीज, फॉरेन कंपनी, डोमेस्टिक कंपनीज. पहले तो सबसे पहले ब्रॉडर क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ कंपनीज इज योर डोमेस्टिक कंपनी and foreign company, right? क्या rates हैं? What are the rates? Fast. I want answer from everyone. Domestic company or your foreign company? Domestic company rates is something extra, है ना? Domestic companies का, yes, Radha is answering. Foreign company 35%, very good. Other Ashutosh is answering. Domestic company का rate 30%. Let me mark it here, 30%. और कुछ के लिए 25% भी है. 25% कब लगता है? When we apply 25% कब लगता है? हाँ, that we will be discussing. 15, 22, 10% तो कोई रेट नहीं है ममरादा. 10% is the surcharge rate we will be discussing. Just tell me 25% कब लगाओगे? When you will apply 25%? Small companies, what do you mean by small companies? What do you mean by small companies? करके तो कोई definition नहीं है act में. There is no definition in the act as small companies. क्या देखना होता है? When we will apply this total this rate of 25%? Just tell me. Yes, I got manufacturing companies are this. No. I got the answer from one of the person. सिर्फ एक से ही मेरे को ठीक आंसर मिला है। ये आप पढ़ चुके हो। आशुतोष। आई गॉट दिस आंसर फ्रॉम आशुतोष। स्मॉल कंपनीज करके कोई कुछ डेफिनेशन नहीं है एक्ट में। पब्लिक नॉट इंटरेस्टेड एंड दिस डेफिनेशंस आर देयर। यस, we can refer it as small company because we check the turnover. आपने किस ईयर का टैक्स ईयर 20, वेरी गुड आशुतोष इज एब्सोल्युटली राइट। एंड द टर्नओवर, टोटल टर्नओवर एंड द ग्रॉस रिसीव्स ऑफ द टैक्स ईयर याद रखना है 25-26 नहीं है, 26-27 नहीं है। आपका टैक्स ईयर 26-27 है, बट दे आर रेफरिंग टू टैक्स ईयर कौन सा 24-25, and this is one of the very important information when you are computing the total income and tax liability in a full-fledged question. Full-fledged question आएगा आपका 15 marks का, ठीक है, which is asking you to compute the total income and tax liability of a company, cooperative society, anything. वहां पे आपको देखना पड़ेगा less than or equal to. Please remember it is less than or equal to 400 crore. लेस देन नहीं है, एग्जैक्ट फिगर आपको दे दी 400 करोड़ की, then also this rate of 25% is available. ठीक है, so it is less than or equal to. ठीक है, याद रखना लेस देन और इक्वल टू ऑल्सो किसी ने सही आंसर दिया था, वो शायद आशुतोष ने था। यस, रिमेंबर दिस, अदरवाइज 30%। अब इसके बियॉन्ड डोमेस्टिक कंपनी के लिए क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है, सिर्फ डोमेस्टिक कंपनी का यहाँ तक टेस्टिंग खत्म नहीं होती है। ये तो आपको पता चल गया कि आपको नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस में ये रेट लगेंगे अगर आपका क्वेश्चन नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस के ऊपर है, ठीक है। इफ योर क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग यू टू कंप्यूट द टोटल इनकम एंड टैक्स लायबिलिटी in a most beneficial manner. I'm telling you again, if a question is asking you to compute the total income and tax liability of a company in a most beneficial manner, then what you are going to do? कब होगा? Because Income Tax Act provides for concessional tax regimes for a company also, or that too only for a domestic company, right? Concessional tax regimes. Which are the sections? आप पुराना बता दो, I don't have an issue. आप पुराना बताओ, I will be referring, और new भी because आपकी already class हो चुकी है. Concessional regime. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बहुत 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 इंपॉर्टेंट है। डिटेल में रीडिंग होगी ओनली इन द असेसमेंट ऑफ वेरियस एंटिटीज। उससे पहले टू अप्रिशिएट द प्रोविजंस ऑफ दिस कंसेशनल टैक्स regime, you should be aware of the provisions, you should be aware of the deductions, you should be aware of the exemptions which are available under the earlier provisions, but they have to forego those exemptions and deductions while paying the tax under the concessional tax regime. So at this time we are just learning the rates applicable. ठीक है? So yes, very good. So there are two sections, section 200, right, and section 201. This is referred as 115 BAB. अभी भी 115 BAB आएगा, इसका रीजन है ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको 201 आएगा। इफ क्वेश्चन में आंसर पूछा जाएगा then they should be referring it to as 115 BAB. Why? Why they have to refer it as 115 BAB? Anyone? Any guesses? बहुत बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है ऐसे ये फैक्ट। स्टिल दे हैव टू रेफर टू 115 BAB। अगर आपने स्टडी मटेरियल में भी देखा होगा, yes, which continues from 1961 Act. Yes, of course. 1961 एक्ट से तो दोनों आ रहे हैं आपके, हम सेक्शन 200 भी आ रहा है, 201 भी आ रहा है, बीए का भी रेफरेंस अगर वो अर्लियर ऑप्ट किए। बट एक और रीजन है इसका, वन मोर रीजन दैट आई वांट टू नो फ्रॉम यू। कैन नाउ कंपनीज ऑप्ट फॉर कंसेशन टैक्स regime now under 100 to 101? Is there any option for a domestic company who is into yes, no, very good. So what is the date Up to what date they have to set up and commence their manufacturing? वेरी गुड वेरी गुड वेरी गुड दैट्स द आंसर. अब इस केस में क्या होगा ना, जो मैंने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा, वट एवर द क्वेश्चन आई हैव आस्क्ड यू, कि if the question is requiring you to compute the tax liability in a most beneficial manner, in that case it is must to give the comparison between this section 200 and normal provisions. Why? Because these domestic companies who are into manufacturing or generation of electricity, they have to commence their business before 31st March 2024, and they have to opt for this 15% rate, this concession tax regime, in the first year. In the first year of commencement, that too before filing your return of income. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप सेकेंड ईयर में भी आके ऑप्ट कर सकते, नो, फाइलिंग रिटर्न ऑफ इनकम. सो यहाँ पे कोई कंपैरिजन हो ही नहीं सकता अभी, बिकॉज अगर वो ऑलरेडी ऑप्ट करके आ रही है, और वो ऑप्ट कर भी नहीं सकती 201 में, अब उसके पास कोई कंपैरेटिव नहीं. अगर हम कंपैरेटिव बनाने भी जाएंगे, प्रैक्टिकली भी कोई कंपनी आके आपसे पूछती है कि व्हाट शुड वी डू, should we go for the normal provisions or we should go for the 200, then what comparison you can make? You can make a comparison with section 200 and normal provisions, this comparison only. ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे जब भी अगर ये वाला क्वेश्चन इफ दे वांट टू आस्क, वन आई रिमेम्बर कि वंस एन एमसीक्यू बीन फ्रेम्ड ऑन दिस 201, और यही क्वेश्चन था, उसमें स्टेटमेंट्स पूछी थी कि कैन द कंपनी पे टैक्स अंडर 201 नाउ if the company has begun its government, what are the options with the company? So this type of MCQ was being framed, right, to determine its tax liability in a most beneficial manner. तो आपका किस तरीके से आप कंपेयर करके निकालोगे, दिस वाज द क्वेश्चन. सो इन फर्स्ट ईयर में करना पड़ेगा आपको, इसलिए इसमें डायरेक्टली क्वेश्चन विल स्टार्ट टू आस्क यू टू कंप्यूट द टोटल इनकम एंड टैक्स लायबिलिटी कंसिडरिंग सेक्शन 201. ठीक है, 201 के अकॉर्डिंग ही कंप्यूट करना पड़ेगा. यहाँ पे कंपैरिजन होगा. कंपैरिजन के केस में दिस 22% रेट, पता है 22% रेट, प्लस यहाँ पे नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस की रेट लगेगी. यहाँ पे आई शुड नॉट राइट दिस प्लस हियर, ये इसमें प्लस मैट प्रोविजंस. एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट अमेंडमेंट आई है इस बार फाइनेंस एक्ट के थ्रू, वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट अमेंडमेंट, वेरी वेरी, जो आप आगे जाके पढ़ोगे, अभी मत वरी करना. ठीक है, हम ग्रेजुअली वी विल बी लर्निंग, एंड टुडे आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन इट. See, 200 and 201 I'm not going to explain today. I'm just explaining you what are the tax rates differences between the normal provisions, because this we are going to read it, study it in detail while doing your assessment of various entities chapter 9. ठीक है. So basically they have to forego, there is a specific rate 22% आप पे कर सकते हो, but provided you will not be eligible for certain deductions. For example, scientific research expenditure will not be allowed, additional depreciation you will not be allowed, yeah, deduction under chapter 8 now, earlier it was chapter 6A, that are not allowed. There are certain listing of provisions which are not available when you are paying tax under the concession tax regime. This is an overview, right? So don't be so much hurry. अब धीरे धीरे करो, slow, but understand with clarity. Okay, there should not be any doubt. Try to retrieve the crux and the tricky points what you have studied. This is very essential. This is very essential. आप provision पढ़ो, समझो. सिर्फ समझने से काम नहीं चलेगा, उसमें what type of questions can be framed, that you have to analyze on your own. ठीक है, खुद समझो किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन हो सकते. दिस इज द ट्रिकी पॉइंट, ये आप पढ़ के हमें एनालाइज होता है, वी कैन एनालाइज इट. ठीक है. सो दिस इज अपार्ट फ्रॉम द टैक्स रेट डिफरेंसेस, मैट प्रोविजंस में अमेंडमेंट्स हैं, अभी मैं वो डिस्कस नहीं करूंगी. अभी अगर हम डिस्कस करने लगे क्या अमेंडमेंट्स हैं, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट amendments are there which are really really very important, but we will be discussing it in detail while we are doing the assessment of various entities. What is the another difference tax rates के अलावा, इनकम टैक्स रेट के अलावा, what is the difference what is the difference between what we say, apart from the tax rate between this 115 BAC, this 201 and 200, 200 and 201 may, apart from the tax rates given there and the normal provisions, what else are the differences? Very simple question. फास्ट फास्ट जल्दी बताओ क्या डिफरेंस है? टैक्स रेट्स आपको पता चल गया, 22% है, 15% है, या नॉर्मल 30% है, 25% है, चार रेट्स, फोर रेट्स. व्हाट एल्स? सरचार्ज के रेट्स क्या है? नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस में व्हाट आर द सरचार्ज रेट्स फॉर द कंपनी? व्हाट आर द सरचार्ज रेट्स फॉर द कंपनी? क्या क्या सरचार्ज रेट्स है नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस में? फटाफट. 7 and 12%. Very good. When the total income exceeds your 1 crore, but does not exceed 10 CR, तो क्या रेट लगता है? 7%. राइट? और इट्स, ये मैं आपको नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस की बात कर रही हूँ, ठीक है? आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस. सबको पता है ना डिफरेंस है? एवरीवन नोज अबाउट इट ना? देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन सरचार्ज रेट्स अंडर द कंसेशन टैक्स regime and the normal provisions. Exceeds 10 crore. एवरीवन नोज अबाउट इट, क्योंकि बच्चे मिस्टेक कर देते हैं. नहीं है याद? किसी को भी नहीं है? Yes, Kanaya remembers it. Very good. So here the, अगर हम suppose मेरी income अगर 50 lakhs है, my company's income XYZ Limited is a domestic company and pay tax under the section 100, 200. If paying tax as per the provisions of section 200, my total income is 50 lakhs. How much surcharge rate will be there? How much surcharge will be there? Yes, Ashutosh is very right. There is irrespective. ये वर्ड देखो पहले बहुत अच्छा है. अभी आई विल टेल यू दिस वन. मुझे आपको और भी चीजें बतानी थी. irrespective of the total income, कितनी भी total income हो आपकी, your surcharge is applicable at a flat rate of 10%. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, ठीक है? बेसिक कंसेप्ट में इतना डिटेल में डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, असेसमेंट ऑफ वेरियस एंटिटीज में इतना डिटेल में डिस्कस नहीं होगा. ये टैक्स रेट्स दोबारा से डिस्कस नहीं होगी, इसलिए प्रैक्टिस इट. अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट ऑफ मार्जिन रिलीफ ऑल्सो, कैसे कंप्यूट होता है, कब होता है, ठीक है? इन केस ऑफ एनी डाउट, अगर आपको समझ में नहीं आया, आई विल नॉट एबल टू टेक एवरीथिंग टुडे. इन केस यू हैव एनी डाउट यू कैन राइट टू अस. आप मुझे लिख सकते हो एट dt dash final @ICAI.in. At this mail ID you can write to me. If you want have some doubt, you can ask to me. ठीक है? Write down this mail ID. So understand the concept of margin relief, understand these tax rates. These will be very essential while doing your assessment of various entities chapter, while doing your case scenario based things. बहुत जरूरी है. ये बेसिक्स है, बहुत फंडामेंटल्स है, सब आपने पढ़ा है, बट दोबारा से ब्रशिंग अप करने की जरूरत है, ठीक है? और ये आपके कंपनीज का हो गया. सिमिलरली लाइकवाइज कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज के लिए, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज के लिए भी आपकी कंसेशनल टैक्स रेट्स है ऑन द सेम लाइंस. आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू डिटेल, बहुत नॉर्मल प्रोविजंस है. और आपका rates are given to you, ठीक है? refer those rates, 10,000 exceeding and all, then your 203/204, ठीक है? So this was earlier 115 BAD, it was 115 BAE. बहुत ज्यादा आपको frequently इस पे क्वेश्चंस नहीं मिले होंगे, बट ऐसा नहीं है क्वेश्चंस नहीं आ सकते. क्वेश्चंस कैन बी आस्क्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ एमसीक्यूज, इन द फॉर्म ऑफ केस सिनेरियोज. सो actually इसको there is easy to remember is that you can just if you learn the provisions of your companies कि क्या क्या फॉलो करना पड़ता है, what are the exemptions, deduction, what are the conditions, if you learn those conditions now in the new act, earlier the conditions were mentioned in the respective section itself. Now for both the companies and the your cooperative societies, there is a one section for the condition, that is 205. When a company or this thing, this is section, this is a cumulative section, altogether one single section 205, which is there in the new act. Earlier the conditions are given respectively in the respective sections. Basically now it's being common. There is only few minor differences that you have to capture and gather. ठीक है, वो कर लोगे आपको, you will remember these provisions. This is cooperative society, same 15%. This is 22%. This is 15%. Surcharge rate, flat surcharge. 10%. ठीक है, this is all about. This we have learned. Marginal relief you have learned on that day. Relief. So इसके साथ आपको कुछ क्वेश्चंस होंगे इनकम की डेफिनेशंस में, उस पे क्वेश्चंस आ जाते हैं, वो जरूर रखना. फॉर एग्जांपल कैपिटल रिसीट, बहुत बहुत देयर आर सो मेनी डिस्प्यूट्स ऑन दिस कैपिटल रिसीट्स एस्पेक्ट्स और द रेवेन्यू रिसीट्स एस्पेक्ट. सो मेनी डिस्प्यूट्स आर देयर ऑन दिस एस्पेक्ट्स. तो उसके रिलेशन में सम केस लॉज आर गिवन. ठीक है, वो कर लो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल लिक्विडेट डैमेजेस, हो सकता है फुल फ्लेश क्वेश्चन ना है आपके पास लिक्विडेट डैमेजेस का, बट दिस एस्पेक्ट कैन बी टेस्टेड व्हाइल आस्किंग यू टू कंप्यूट द टोटल इनकम ऑफ अ कंपनी. उस टाइम पे पूछ सकता है. तो वो आपका अलाउ, अगर रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर होगा अलाउड होगा, कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर होगा अलाउड नहीं होगा. दिस इज द डिफरेंस. You have to learn it, you have to understand it. Then there is a concept of diversion of income, then application of income. I'm not going to detailing out कि क्या पढ़ा था आपने. आप उसको एक बार फिर से पढ़िएगा. In case you have doubt, you can reach out to me at the provided mail ID. This is all about this section. Anything? This is clear? Then we will be moving forward to our next topic after a break of 10 minutes. You can also take the break. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग आशुतोष. आपने देखा होगा ना आशुतोष, अभी ना फॉर द सेक ऑफ ईज एक्चुअली the formulas they have invented, WN, UN, VN, these are the terms they have used it just for the sake of ease, that's all. Because आप पुराना वाला एक बार मार्जिन रिलीफ का सेक्शन पढ़ के देखना फाइनेंस एक्ट में. मार्जिन रिलीफ का कंसेप्ट इज देयर इन दी फर्स्ट शेड्यूल, आपका शेड्यूल में ही है मार्जिन रिलीफ का कंसेप्ट. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. वो पढ़ने में और अब फॉर्मूले के थ्रू करने में इट बिकम सो इजी. फॉर्मूला है, आपको पता है कि इस पे टैक्स कंप्यूट करना है, इस पे करना है, इन दोनों को माइनस करके यू विल ड्राइव एट द मार्जिन रिलीफ. वेरी इजी फॉर्म. पहले ड्यू टू दैट लैंग्वेज ऑफ द प्रोविजन अर्लियर इन आवर स्टडी मटेरियल वी यूज टू गिव टू ऑल्टरनेटिव्स टू कंप्यूट द मार्जिन रिलीफ. हमारी स्टडी में आप देखोगे दो वेज थे मार्जिन रिलीफ को कंप्यूट करने के लिए. अब उसकी जरूरत ही नहीं है बिकॉज दे वेरी क्लियरली दे हैव गिवन एंड क्लैरिफाइड टू गिव दिस फॉर्मूला. दिस इज द लॉजिक ओनली. Logic is to simplification. Logic of the converting the sections into table is the simplification under the new act, basically. That's all, nothing. So understanding these things has become easy. आपको पहले alternatives देखने पड़ते थे, कोई बच्चा कैसे solve कर रहा है, कोई बच्चा कैसे solve कर रहा है, तो वो सारी problems खत्म हो गई actually with they have come out with this formula. Certain things they have cleaned the act, so it becomes so easy. आप bare act पढ़ना और you will really like it. But थोड़ा referencing बहुत difficult है, जो अभी मैं chapter 2 when we are going to start this chapter 2, then I will be telling you how to now read the act, because reading the act now becomes something different, right? So shall we go for the break? Just hand raise करो जल्दी से. So is it clear now? Very good. I want the class to be more interactive, है ना? So अभी हम 10 minutes के break पे हैं. Technical team, it's a break time. Yeah, for 10 minutes. So all of you have joined again after the break. Now we can start our next chapter. So we have just today learned about these things. So I'm again sharing the meeting ID with you all who was viewing through the portal and join now. Please, you can join and come through our Zoom link meeting. Please note down this meeting ID again, 895-9473-2732. We are working on our portal to provide you the notes, right? But as a temporary arrangement, what we are thinking that whoever are joining through our portal, through Zoom meeting and providing us their registration number and mail ID, we can just mail them the our chapters which we have done, basic concepts we have done. So we will be doing it, and today we are going to try to do some portion of our chapter 2, income which do not form part of total income. So just try to join through this meeting ID. This is on your screen, 895-9473-2732. Just waiting for some time. Thank you so much, Radha, for the appreciation words. Thank you. Thank you. So I think we should now move to our next topic. That is our chapter 2. This is our chapter 2, income which do not form part of total income. The word itself, this income which do not form part of total income, that means the income which is not at all included in our income, total income. This we can term as your exempted income, right? This we can term that exempted income. ठीक है, जो बिल्कुल भी which is not included at all. ठीक है? So this is our the chapter itself. If you just go through this Bare Act, they use this term itself in the Bare Act. आप मुझे just एक बार just tell me which were the section in the 1961 which was providing you this exemptions provisions, which is relating to this exemptions provisions. Just tell me which was the section in the 1961 Act. You all must be knowing. Yeah, section 10. Very rightly said. Now, if you know, अच्छा, आपने basic concept chapter पढ़ा, okay? You have gone through this chapter, this first chapter, and you know how many sections are there in the new act? How many sections are there in the new act? जल्दी से, आपने sections पढ़े? And how many schedules are there in the new act? These two answers I want from each one of you, because you have already read this basic concepts. Old one, very good. Rather, you have done, a lot of study in the old and the new act provisions. Very good. And how many chapters? Can I know from you how many chapters in the new act? Chapters पता है ना क्या होता है, जैसे हमने भी अपनी स्टडी में chapters बना रखे हैं. Likewise, in the Bare Act also, the provisions are divided into chapters. The related provisions are divided into different chapters, right? So, how many chapters? Very good, very good. So overall, 536 chapters. 16 schedules. Right? All these chapters are divided as per their relation. Means the related provisions are contained in a particular chapters. So overall, 23 chapters comprising of these 536 sections. This is the foremost thing. ठीक है, पता होना चाहिए. और क्यों पता होना चाहिए? I will tell you the reason. In the earlier act also, there were 14 schedules. उसमें से 3 schedules were omitted. So effectively only 11 schedules were there. And of course, as the Radha has informed, कि पहले in overall, because there are, for example, the sections are, preceded by this capital letters. So it become around 819 section. Exact figure I am not remembering. Whatever she is telling, that's what I am telling you. 819 section she is telling. And now there is at presently we try to merge the give the different names to all the capital letters वाली चीजें नहीं use करनी थी in the new act में. So all the sections, this I have written it wrongly, this is not chapter, these are the 536 sections. It brought down to 536. उसके बाद भी आपने देखा होगा many provisions are combined in a single sections and they are formulated in the form of a table. If you talk about, this is 393 is one of the best example to give you about this, where they have consolidated so many section. Earlier the sections are starting from the 192 to 194T, right? Now it has been consolidated into only four, this overall four sections and divided into subsection. For 392 so they started, 393, 394, 395, likewise for TCS provisions तक. इस तरीके से they have consolidated all the sections in 393. One specifically, if you talk about relating to majorly the non-resident resident provisions, then 393, 3 and 4. Okay, we will be reading it. These are pertaining to TDS provisions only. And of course, while doing our TDS provision chapter, we will be understanding how to learn these provisions. So what I am telling you, reading these schedules in the new act, is really very, very important for you. Reading these schedules. Why? अभी आपने बताया, you have told me कि section 10 was related to exempted income under 1961 Act. ठीक है? अभी नए एक्ट में which section is relevant? नए एक्ट में section 11 is there. 11 is there. Or it is contained in this chapter 3 में. Chapter 3 of the income tax, उसकी heading आप पढ़ेंगे. The heading itself is saying income which do not form part of total income. This is the heading of this section. अब मैं I will show you. पहले section 10, if you have known, there are many clauses are appended to section 10. Around 50 approximately. There are many, with the capital letters also, 23C, 23 FCA, 23 FD. So in effectively many clauses, but if you go by the numbers, seems to be 50 clauses are there. It may, I have not counted it exactly how many clauses were there, but it's at the last clause was 50 clauses. Around 50 clauses. My simple questions to you, very simple question. Why we name it as clauses? Why do not we name it as a subsection? Anyone? Just raise your hand. I want to ask this query and I just want to listen from you. Why we name it as clauses instead of subsection to this section 10? Just raise your hand, whoever want to answer this. I will unmute. Anyone? Kanaya wants to answer. Technical team, please unmute Kanaya.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, Kanaya, you tell me. Why we call it as clause?
Basically, as far as I think, like clause is unrelated with the previous one. In the clause, every clause having different perception, and in that clause we can include anything which are unrelated to each other.
Okay. So that's why we name it as clause. Okay, that your answer is also correct. There is nothing wrong in your answer. One more logic is there. Radha, please unmute Radha. I want to listen her. Radha, yeah, please unmute yourself and answer. Unable to unmute?
Okay.
Manish, Sanket is there na from
Yes,
tax team.
ma'am.
Please unmute her.
Yeah, ma'am. Am I audible now?
Yeah, Radha.
Ma'am, specifically what I understood, and I also agree to Kanaya, that basically what I have observed while reading Act is section is generally split into subsections because it is being related to a connected rules, and whereas with regards to clauses, it is actually depicting the independent items or definitions which are specifically not depending on each other to form a complete process or thought. You can say that.
Yeah, that's right. But how we will identify? मतलब आप देखो, of course, your both of your answers absolutely seems to be correct, definitely, because clauses are unrelated. You know, they are not linked because they are not dependent on each others. But of course, a section, if comprising of certain subsections, it is related and giving the meaning to others. You know, so independently we cannot read and we cannot drive a different meaning. This is, of course, is one of the very good answer which I got from you. But if I, frankly speaking, for example, this section 1, it's visible on your screens.
Yes, ma'am.
We know section 1 is starting with itself subsection 1. It's itself with a numerical number. Okay, the starting of this section is starting with a numerical number immediately thereafter. So we call it as a subsection. This is the rule, you know. We call it as a subsection. We call it section 1, subsection 1, section 1, subsection 2. If you see definition section, definitions may we are again referring it as a clauses of this section. So it is starting with a sentence, right? In this act, unless the context otherwise requires, it is starting with a particular sentence. Then your numbering is happening. Then your this thing 1, 2, 3. These are referred as clauses. These are referred as clauses. And this is referred as subsection. So आप देखोगे इनकम टैक्स एक्ट पुराना वाला पढ़ के सेक्शन 10 itself starts in this format. It will be giving you some text immediately after the section, then numbering will be started. This is one of the way to read the. Now, one more important thing. This you understand when we are going to say it as a clause and when we are going to say it is a subsection. One more important thing. If you just remember, if I am telling you some section, for example, if I tell you, अभी हम agriculture income का करने जा रहे हैं, we will tell, if we are telling you 19(1), if you go to section 19, just let me open the section 19 itself, then I will be writing for you. Section 19(2), let me take it as 2. Okay, then it has this. This is written as earlier in the act, actually. The way of reading it is that subclause A of subsection 2 of section 19. In this way, we are continuing to read it in this format. But in the new act, the format of reading itself has been changed. And that you will understand when they are giving the reference to a particular section. Because in the earlier act, what they are doing, they are giving the reference in this format only as referred to in subclause 1961, I am telling you, as subclause A of subsection 2 of section 19. This is the way we were reading and they are giving the reference in this format only. But now in the the new act, they are not referring in this format. They are also writing in the similar way. The way section is written, they are writing in this way. If they are referring to subsection 2A, then they are writing only in this format. Then now we have to read it as it is. Section 19, subsection 2, and this clause A. ठीक है, एक और आगे आ जाता है 1, this becomes sub clause. एक और आगे ऐड हो जाता है सपोज इस तरीके से, it becomes sub clause. But off करके we are not going to start from the back. We are going to start from this side only. So section 19, subsection 2, clause A, subclause 1, subclause 1, Roman number 1. This is the way we are going to read this. Right? Is it clear? Just raise your hand, don't unmute. Yes, good. So this is the way. Now I just want to show you this section, chapter 3. Chapter 3, how it is now given in the new act. In section, पहले सब clauses थे, so it become easy for us. But now in the new act, they are giving reference to schedules. So schedules, reading the schedules become a very essential part under the new act. What it is showing, telling, this is the chapter 3, income which do not form part of total income. Part A is income not to be included in the total income, जो income आपको include नहीं करनी है. In computing, what it is also starting to, this is subsection 1. Section 11, subsection 1 says, in computing the total income of any person for a tax year under this act, any income enumerated in section schedules 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shall not be included subject to fulfillment of certain condition specified therein. So everything, whatever be the clauses which were there in the section 10, they are shifted to these schedules. So reading these schedules is essential to understand the exemption provisions. Why? Now they have given schedule 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then again, certain conditions are being given. Wherever the conditions referred to in schedules, referred to in subsection 1 are not satisfied in any tax year, in respect of any income enumerated, then income shall be charged to tax. Us time pe aap conditions hai, because they are subject to certain conditions. We will look for the conditions. That condition need to be satisfied. If you are not satisfying the condition, that will be charged to the tax and in the total income, includable in the total income. Then again, they are also giving person enumerated. So person enumerated in schedule 7 shall be subject to fulfillment of conditions, not be chargeable. So in persons को आपको exemptions दिए. Specifically persons के आपने definitions पढ़ी. You have gone through the definitions of persons. So persons की definition is very, very important to understand. What are these persons who are given this exemption subject to the condition which is given in schedule 7? Remembering at least the schedule number is necessary. You know, seriatim is difficult to, of course, do. But remember, try to remember at least the schedule numbers, because every schedules ke upar they have given this heading that it exemption is related to what type of income, what type of assessees, what type of persons. Okay, we will understand what are these schedules are. Right? Similarly, in this format, if conditions are not satisfied, then schedule 7 cases may are not satisfied, then that income will become charged to tax under the provisions of the act for that tax year. The language is so beautiful drafted, so simplified way. Now it's easy to understand. That I was telling you now, if this is one of the major highlight for the, I don't know whether it's correct or wrong, or there are something notwithstanding anything contained in the act, notwithstanding content in any other sections, these were the wordings, right? Irrespective of, they are using the simplified terminology, that is irrespective of anything contained in the act. This is also one of the major change which we can see. This is for the purpose of simplification, so that a layman can also understand the act. So irrespective of anything, मतलब कुछ भी लिखा हो वहां पे, anything is written in other provisions, you have to do as per this provision only. You have to, for example, if you are going to compute certain things, then you have to do in this manner only. Certain places it is being written, जैसे जैसे हम करेंगे वैसे वैसे we will understand it. Got it, Radha? Yes. Yeah, overriding effect. That's the word you can use. Overriding effect. This is irrespective of anything contained, right? So this then chapter is giving income not to be included in the total income political and electoral trust. 2 parts are there only for chapter 3 now. Become very shortened. बहुत छोटा सा हो गया है. Easy है, but easy नहीं है, because everything they have taken to the schedules in a table form. बहुत मतलब पढ़ना easy. Its reading is easy. Its reading is easy. यहाँ पे one important announcement that I want to make for the students who are going to appear for May 27 examination, and this is one of the kind of relaxation we can say which is given to you, and because of the certain things are very clearly being categorized in the schedules. That is your study guidelines. I will tell you what is this study guidelines are. So पहले एक बार just understand करते हैं कि what are these schedules are. एक schedule missing है यहाँ पे, one. Why they have not, where this schedule has gone, why they are starting with this schedule 2. Easy है ना याद करना, 2 से 7 तक clauses हैं जिसमें exemptions की provisions contained हैं. These are the schedules in which provisions pertaining to exemptions are contained in. Okay, now where is this schedule 1 gone? Why they have started, why they have done like that? यार it's बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है ना ऐसे याद करना. There is a logic. What is that schedule? Let's see it. So let's take you to this chapter. I'm not going into the differences, but this is also one of the very very important. ये आप कह सकते हो पता होना चाहिए हर बच्चे को, फाइनल सीए के स्टूडेंट को. What is the difference between exemption and deduction? I will come to this concept again, but अभी जब हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं शेड्यूल्स के बारे में, let's do discuss the schedules. Schedule section 10 में, this is overall diagram is big given. Let me shorten. Schedule 1 क्यों आउट किया? What is the schedule 1? अब मैं आपको एक्ट के थ्रू देके जाऊं. Let me take you through this act itself. What is the schedule 1? Just give me. You will be happy to know it. This is what is this? Schedule 1. Let me take you through this schedules. Yeah, it seems to be 393 only. Just give me a minute. (533) 536 के बाद हमारे शेड्यूल से स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे, राइट. रिपील्स एंड सेविंग प्रोविजंस बहुत डिटेल में. आप 536 someone was saying, I will try to explain. I will, if some time permit me. हाँ, this is schedule 1. We are starting with schedule 1, right? 536 के बाद schedules start हो रहे हैं in the Bear Act, and this is schedule 1. And what is this schedule is? The conditions for certain activities not to constitute business connection in India. This schedule is not providing any exemption. This schedule is saying the conditions which are to be satisfied for certain activities. If the investment fund, eligible investment fund is satisfying certain these conditions, then they will not constitute business connection in India, because the business connection has its own relevance. If the person is having, or the non-resident is having a business connection, then the income attributable to the business connection would be chargeable to tax in India. So these are the conditions which is being given to an eligible investment fund, right, to satisfy. In that case, it would not constitute their business connection, then their income would not be chargeable to tax in India, because it would not be deemed to accrue or arise in India. ठीक है, इस पे नहीं जाते हैं. थोड़ा सा अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए जस्ट शेड्यूल 1 था. उसके बाद आपका शेड्यूल 1 के बाद आपका स्टार्ट हो जाता है शेड्यूल 2. शेड्यूल 2 कह सकते हो स्टार्ट हो रहा है सीधे इनकम नॉट टू बी इंक्लूडेड इन द टोटल इनकम. दिस इज अ जनरल शेड्यूल which is applicable to everyone. To a person is mentioning, to a person, subject to the condition. To a person मतलब सारे persons पे, ठीक है, जिसके रिस्पेक्ट में इनकम होगी उसके एलिजिबल हो जाएगा. दिस इज शेड्यूल 2. इससे पहले मैं आपको और शेड्यूल्स एक्सप्लेन करूं. अभी हमने शेड्यूल 1 देखा. अब आप कहोगे इतनी सारी कंडीशंस हमें लर्न करनी है. A very good news for you. From May 27 onwards, we are coming out with the study guidelines. These are our study guidelines. And study guidelines are providing you the list of exclusions and inclusions in the syllabus of this paper. Exclusions means these are not forming part of your syllabus. As you have learned now, अभी income which do not form part of your total income. Likewise, this is study guidelines which is in the tabular form again is providing you the list of provisions which are excluded from the syllabus of your subject. ठीक है, तो एक ब्रीदिंग स्पेस मिलेगी आपको, राइट. सो शेड्यूल 3, अगर आप बात करो यहाँ से इनकम विच डोंट फॉर्म बिकॉज इट इज नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग यू द एग्जेम्पशन, तो ये हमारे इस टॉपिक में कवर नहीं है. वी हैव एक्सक्लूडेड सर्टेन प्रोविजंस ऑफ सर्टेन शेड्यूल्स. पहले हम शेड्यूल्स को समझेंगे, फिर समझेंगे व्हाट आर द एक्सक्लूजन्स, व्हाई वी हैव एक्सक्लूडेड इट. सी, फॉर द sake of enhancing your knowledge, because these are also have a practical relevance. ऐसा नहीं है कि practical relevance नहीं है इनका इसलिए हमने exclude किया. No, because you have to memorize a lot, you know. Understanding the provision is one angle, and memorizing those conditions and remembering for the exam is another thing. So for the ease of students, we have excluded certain things from May 27 onwards by way of study guidelines for this paper also, right? So first topic is income which don't form part of total income. There are certain exclusions which are there, which are not forming part of a total income, and certain inclusions are also there. I will not be dealing in detail. I will not be going into detail, but only major things I will be telling you what are these schedules are. So what I was telling you, schedule 1 providing for the condition. See, in NR taxation, if you see, this is NR taxation related eligible investment funds and business connection concept is discussed in the chapter NR taxation forming part of an international taxation portion, right? From this, we have excluded this section 9 subsection 12, fund management activity carried out by eligible investment fund through eligible fund manager not to constitute business connection India along with its schedule 1. So this is not forming part of your this syllabus. ठीक है? So note it. No need to worry about it. ठीक है? This is excluded. Schedule 1 आपका exclude हो गया. Excluded from the syllabus. Exemption is given to you, right? Exemption मिल गई. अब ऐसा नहीं है, अपने नॉलेज के लिए आप पढ़ना चाहिए, पढ़ना भी चाहिए, समझिए, प्रैक्टिकल implications होगी. If some of you are practicing with some company who is into eligible investment fund, or if you are practicing with a chartered accountant, you should know about it because these are relevant, have a relevance in the practical aspects. But remembering such definitions become difficult. That's why we are excluded. So this is NR taxation. Schedule 1 के बारे में I have informed you. This is excluded. Now let's move to the other schedules. What are these other schedules are? उसको याद करने के लिए एक बार शेड्यूल की हेडिंग्स को समझते हैं. Then we will be easy to remember. क्या है? First is simple. It is for general category. General category means all the persons के लिए subject to certain conditions, right? Conditions. If you see income is there, this income will not form part of total income, not to be included in the total income. Then subject to certain condition. If you are satisfying these conditions, then only. It's not. If you are not satisfying these conditions, then it would definitely be subjected to the tax. ठीक है? These are the list. How many clauses? Many serial numbers. ठीक है? So, but nothing is excluded. Nothing is excluded from schedule 2 for you. And majority of these serial numbers, majority of these provisions are covered in the respective chapters so that it is easy for you to relate it, right? Whenever we are discussing a particular income, for example, every income need to be classified into 5 heads of income, right? Sari buckets hain, all the buckets are there, 5 buckets are there, income is being put in particular buckets. So that classification is there. Uske basis pe, these are related to those incomes only. So wherever we are discussing those income, these exemptions we are discussing then and there. तो एक साथ अगर आप ऐसे याद करने की कोशिश करोगे आपको याद नहीं होगा. That's why we have just take it out and been given in the relevant portion of the chapters. ठीक है? Huge things, so don't worry about it. Agriculture income is very much there in this chapter itself. in this chapter, chapter 2 itself. And there are certain other provisions of certain schedules are also covered in the this chapter also. You will find they are covered in other chapters also, some of the things. But because they have some own relevance, that's why they are being keep in this chapter itself. For example, agricultural income that we are going to discuss. Now, these are 17 serial numbers. Then Schedule 3. What is the Schedule 3? Schedule 3 is giving the exemption to a person. Giving the exemption to a person means any person. Take a subject to certain conditions. Now, the Schedule 3 itself is starting with income not to be included in total income of eligible persons. यहाँ पे क्या concept आया आपका? Eligible persons only. ऐसा नहीं है आपको free, it's not eligible, it's not available to every person. It is available to only eligible persons. There are some exclusions from the Schedule 3 which are given in the study guidelines. And these are also being discussed along with the relevant provisions, along with the relevant head of income specifically. And eligible persons means they are based on a particular person. This is not given. For example, some received by a HUF, member of a HUF. This is exempted in the hands of that HUF. So eligible person is an individual who is a member of HUF, who is a member of HUF, right? उसके केस में आपको एग्जेम्पशन दिया है. देन आपकी एग्जेम्पशन यहाँ पे क्या है? पार्टनर्स, सबको पता होगा. एनी सम याद है ना आपको? दिस क्लॉज 2 of section 10. Now here is being given as a schedule 3 का serial number 2. Very simple format. पहले पढ़ने में difficulty होती थी. Now it's very clearly visible कि any sum received by a partner towards his share in the total income of a firm is income which is exempted in the hands of a person who is a partner of a firm separately assessed as such. So ये वाला provisions basically हमने cover किया है assessment of various entities में, where we are discussing the provisions of a firm. ठीक है? You can find it in the your I think PGBP chapter में भी maybe some discussion is there where we are discussing the book profits computed for the purpose of a partner this firm, and we are deciding how many deductions are available while computing the total income of a firm. This is essential part of PGBP, right? Likewise, certain eligible persons are given. So these are also being, आपको आज ही बैठ के सारे याद नहीं करना है. Don't worry about it. Whatever is given in this chapter 2, limited your study to those provisions only which is given in the chapter 2 itself. ठीक है? Be consistent. Slowly, slowly we will be understanding the provision. Slowly, slowly we will be learning the provisions. ठीक है? Just want to show it कि how we have to read the section 11 along with the schedule. This is my concern. And in this exclusion, if you see this study guidelines of relating to the topic income which do not form part of total income, majority of the things are being excluded from the syllabus from this topic itself. Schedule 3 में serial number 19, which is giving some member of a scheduled tribe, and those things are being given as being excluded, are excluded from the syllabus of your syllabus, right? Serial number 19. Then any income which accrues or arise an individual, the following items listed in table with respect to certain income not to be included in the total income of certain eligible persons are excluded. These are excluded. Sikimis is excluded. The income which is chargeable under the head from income from house property is excluded. Any local authority के case में. These are the exclusion list. Just go through this exclusion list. You need not to worry about it. Whatever is covered in your study material, you have to focus on that aspects only. So these are given as an exclusion list. Right? This is schedule 3. Then we have schedule 4. What is the schedule 4? Let's see what is the schedule 4. Relates to what? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you getting me? Any doubt? Anything, please raise your hand if you understood, so that I should also be understanding. So notes are also there. Of course, they are being given simplified form in your. So what is the schedule 4? Schedule 4 giving you the list of income which are exempted from the total income of eligible non-residents. This is relating to non-residents, foreign companies, and other such persons. They had actually categorized the income based on the persons. Basically, the easier to make it more easy, they have given like that. So income not to be included is this eligible non-resident persons के case में they have provided a list. This is important one. You have to, these are being covered as a non-resident taxation में. If you go through this chapter 2, in this chapter itself, we have provided what we have covered in this chapter and what we have, you have to refer to the provisions of other chapters. These are content. For example, if you see this, if you see non-resident taxation, there is a huge list which we are discussing only in the non-resident taxation, right? Reference number of schedule along with this serial number is given in it itself, right? This is being given chapter wise what we are going to discuss in those particular chapters. Similarly, for these capital gains, income from other sources, clubbing, deductions, charitable trust, and the special entities, this is registered non-profit organization is the term which is used in the new act. And there is a special provisions. Earlier, there were 2 regimes. I do not want to discuss those right now. So this is giving you the list which you are going to discuss in the respective chapters. Okay, and again there is a exclusion list from schedule 4 also that is excluded. Please read it carefully what is excluded, because there are certain things are being excluded but certain things are included also. For example, I will tell you this is exclusion, are excluded. European Economic Community related exemptions are being excluded, eligible person, then foreign company. These are the eligible persons for whom we have excluded certain sections, certain provisions are being excluded. Then schedule 5, if you go, what is the schedule 5 again? Schedule 5 giving you the exemptions with respect to certain incomes, not to be included in the total income, certain eligible persons, including investment funds, business trust, and their unit holders are excluded. As any, these are forming part of your total income, but certain things which are eligible persons, for example, venture capital company, specified persons, specific persons are only excluded. Means in their hands, we are not testing. Means we are not testing the exemptions eligible in their hands, in their respective, in the hands of these eligible persons, which we are not forming part of the syllabus. Okay. Then schedule 6, if you go here again, they are giving certain exemptions, and specifically from this schedule again, this is also with respect to certain eligible persons in IFSC, International Financial Service Center. Specifically for IFSC ke liye, they have given a separate schedule. Earlier it was scattered. Now they have combined all the exemptions which are available to a unit holders and who are the persons in IFSCs. Specific exclusion is being given with respect to these eligible persons only. Any specified fund specifically is being excluded from the syllabus. Likewise, schedule 7 is one of the important schedule, but isme bhi all things are excluded. Means exemptions, only exemption part. It's not that all over taxability is being excluded. Only the exemption part which is available to these eligible persons subject to certain conditions are excluded from the syllabus. Here, the list is given with respect to the inclusions. That means there are 1 to 48 serial numbers in this schedule 7, and it is given exemption specifically to the eligible persons only. These 3 are forming part of your syllabus. It is giving the inclusion list, which is giving you the idea that these 17, 9, 18, and 19 only out of these 1 to 48 serial numbers are included in the syllabus in chapter. This is included in chapter 10. Okay? chapter 2 में itself this list is given कि what we are going to discuss in chapter 10, right? Then other PGBP we have excluded some schedules only, schedule 12 and schedule 13 and section 55 in this thing. Remaining everything is forming part of our syllabus. These are the exclusion lists, which will be very in some time we will be sharing with you on the website. We will be uploading. So don't worry, abhi whatever we are covering, that you have to focus on what we are covered in this respective chapters. Okay. So let's move to our chapter. I think it's been clear what I have discussed with you. You understood the concept of study guidelines, which we have brought from May 27 examination. This is just giving the list of exclusions, right? Yeah, good. So we can move ahead with agriculture income. So shall we move ahead with the concept of agriculture income, or we just deductions? What is the difference between exemptions and deduction? This is one of the basic things. What is the difference between deductions and exemptions? And in the BEAR Act, in the new act, there is something which is, being given as a deduction instead of exemptions. That is one particular head of income specifically, where the exemptions which were given in section 10 are converted into deductions. Anyone who has remembered it? किसी को याद है? And what is the difference between exemptions and deductions? Anyone who wants to answer me? Just raise your hand. लिखा हुआ है सामने exemptions. Anyone who wants to answer me? Radha wants to answer. Radha, you can unmute yourself. Are you able to do? Sanket, please unmute Radha.
Yes, ma'am. Very simple distinction that we can observe, that exemption is like while computation of the total income itself, you are not including as a part of it the income. Whereas on the deduction, while you are making the computation of gross total income, you are specifically availing the benefits of deduction.
Yes.
So then you are finding the net total income accordingly. That is the major difference which I was being able to find out.
Very good, very good. So you have explained it well. So exemptions piece, basically, this is not at all including in your income, which is not forming part of your total income. That's the title of the section itself, section 11 ka chapter 3. So but it's not forming part of your total income at all. Okay, deduction is you are giving from first you include it, then from your that chapter 6, chapter 8 now, because I'm also remembering the old chapters. Chapter 6A were there in the earlier act. Now it is chapter 8. It is giving the deductions from the GTI. So this is the basic example that it cannot exceed your GTI, of course, right? And of course, once you have not included the income, it's well and good. The exemption are more beneficial, if you say. Now it's very simple. We should move to the agriculture income concept. This is all the list of exemptions being discussed in the respective chapters. And these all pertains to the schedules, what we have discussed from schedule 2 to schedule 7. ठीक है? So ये लिस्ट याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आप जहां पे भी wherever we are discussing the provision, they will be discussed then and there. ठीक है? No need to remember this list. Now moving to our first serial number 1 of schedule 2. First serial number 1 of schedule 2. I was telling you one thing, that is with respect to salaries. जहां पे मैंने बोला कि वहां पे exemptions are converted into deductions in salaries basically. I do not want to explain in detail because salaries हम बहुत डिटेल में नहीं पढ़ते हैं. Basic concepts में standard deduction aspect is covered, professional tax deduction is covered, section 19 की deductions are there. Section 19 is there now. Earlier it was section 16, but section 19 has been now elaborated a lot. Means it is providing the deduction with respect to gratuity, it is providing the deduction with respect to your pension, it is providing with respect to your leave encashments. Everything is covered as a deductions. Earlier they are available as your exemptions under section 10 itself. There is a reason. Earlier you are not including it at all, but now first you include it, then you will provide in the first manner you are going to include it, and then we are going to provide for the deductions from the gross salary. Okay, Important aspect for salary is the standard deduction, which is easily being tested. On the default tax regime, it is 75,000. Another option tax regime, it is 50,000. Got it? This is simple. So that's what I'm telling you. This is being converted from exemptions to deductions. Likewise, for capital gains exemptions also. Earlier we used to tell exemptions. Now they are referring it as a deduction. For section 54, now it is 85, 84, like that sections are there for capital gains. So this is for the deductions. Now let's move to our agriculture income. एग्रीकल्चर इनकम आपने जस्ट पढ़ा होगा, पहले कौन सा सेक्शन था एग्रीकल्चर इनकम से रिलेटेड, विच वाज द अर्ली सेक्शन विच गिव्स द एग्जेम्पशंस. सबको पता होगा दिस कंसेप्ट, यू हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड एट इंटरमीडिएट लेवल इन लेंथ. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव डन इट इन प्रैक्टिकली किसी ने रिटर्न फाइल करी है एग्रीकल्चर इनकम वाली? एनीवन? हैव यू फिल्ड द रिटर्न विद एग्रीकल्चर इनकम? किसी ने नहीं? नो, कोई बात नहीं. इसको एक बार फिर से रिकैप कर लेते हैं एग्रीकल्चर इनकम का, क्योंकि बेसिकली अभी तक जो मैंने देखा है एग्रीकल्चर इनकम में some MCQ may be tested in the form of integration concept or then 2-1. Yeah, 2-1. Right, Ravinder, its agriculture income was 2-1. Section 10-1. Section 10-1 was there. Section 10-1, not 2-1. Section 2-1 is giving the definition. Yeah, that was giving the definition of agriculture income. If you read this section, Schedule 2, which is giving the exemption subject to certain conditions. It is giving the exemption subject to certain conditions. But for agricultural income, if you refer this schedule now, it is not giving any conditions. कोई condition ही नहीं है agricultural income के respect में. You just serial number 1, very easy, बहुत easy है याद करना, आज ही याद कर लो whenever you are studying it. Schedule 2, serial number 1, agriculture income, very simple. यहाँ पे कोई condition नहीं है. If you see here, there is no condition, nil. फिर इतनी सारी conditions क्यों है agriculture income पे कि आपकी agriculture income which is receiving from outside India, it would become taxable. Why? एग्रीकल्चर इनकम ही तो एग्जेम्प्ट है, सारे का सारे इनकम एग्जेम्प्ट है. व्हाई दी फॉरेन कंट्री से अगर इफ यू आर रिसीविंग द एग्रीकल्चर इनकम इट बिकम टैक्सेबल? कैसे? एनीवन? अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड आंसर मी. जस्ट रेज योर हैंड एंड अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ. टेक्निकल टीम प्लीज अलाउ देम टू अनम्यूट. या रेज योर हैंड प्लीज. एनीवन? Did not get my query. I am telling you, in schedule 2, if you see, schedule 2 ka first column is giving you the serial number. Second column is giving you the income, which will not be included in the total income. And third column is giving you the conditions. Third column is giving you the conditions. ठीक है? अब एग्रीकल्चर इनकम के रिस्पेक्ट में देर इज नो कंडीशन, नील इज रिटर्न, राइट? सो देर इज नो कंडीशन, एग्रीकल्चर इनकम विल बी एग्जेम्प्टेड. आपको पता है, इफ यू आर रिसीविंग द एग्रीकल्चर इनकम सपोज फ्रॉम ऑस्ट्रेलिया, फ्रॉम कैनेडा, फ्रॉम आउटसाइड इंडिया, it is not exempted. Why? Are you getting my question? Radha want to, yeah, Radha, unmute yourself.
Okay. Ma'am, as far as I remember in the starting of the session, you said that global income which is being earned, I mean, specifically by the non-resident, as you said. So, like, if it is accrued in India, so definitely it's an income in their hands. So maybe that is being taxed. I am just putting my presumptions. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Kanaya, you answer. Unmute, please. Let the Kanaya unmute. Kanaya, you please unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, ma'am, like for any income treated as agriculture income, you have to perform two activities. basic and subsequent activities. And in case of foreign income, person may not be doing those activities personally.
Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe that may be some criteria like land tilling activities and other subsequent
अगर
activities.
बाहर भी तो एक्टिविटी कर रहा होगा ना, एग्रीकल्चर इनकम अगर आई है आपकी, दोज एक्टिविटी मस्ट बी कैरिड आउट आउटसाइड इंडिया.
तो उस केस में मैम वो पर्सन तो एनआर ही होगा, क्योंकि अगर एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी कर रहा है तो
एनआर की
मोस्टली
तो चलो यहाँ पे नहीं होगी. रेजिडेंट के केस में अगर कोई रेजिडेंट है, उसकी एग्रीकल्चर इनकम आउटसाइड इंडिया वाली एग्जेम्प्ट क्यों नहीं है? बेसिक एक्टिविटीज वो वहां पे भी कर रहा है, उसकी एग्रीकल्चर इनकम है, बट वो एग्जेम्प्टेड नहीं है. याद है किसी को इंटर पे आपने पढ़ा था? कोई बात नहीं, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन यू. सी, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट है एक्चुअली इसमें समझने के लिए. यहाँ पे कोई कंडीशन नहीं रखी उन्होंने. देयर इज नो कंडीशन while claiming the exemption. But if you go and read the definition of agricultural income, you will come to know कि what all income are classified as agricultural income. वहां पे जब आप पढ़ोगे ना, वहां पे बोला है कि agricultural income from the land situated in India. उन्होंने वहां पे they have said it कि any land income which is situated in India. सो आपकी लैंड बाहर है, आपने कोई भी एग्रीकल्चर ऑपरेशंस किए हैं, वो हम आपके एग्रीकल्चर इनकम ही नहीं मानेंगे. आप उसको एग्रीकल्चर इनकम की कैटेगरी में ही नहीं डाल सकते, तो फिर वो आपकी एग्जेम्पशन भी नहीं मिलेगी, वो इस फॉल ही नहीं करेगी इस टाइप की कैटेगरी में ना. तो इनडायरेक्टली वो कंडीशन उस पर लगी. ऑल्दो यू हैव कैरिड आउट ऑल द ऑपरेशंस, basic, subsequent operations, we will understand what are these basic operations, subsequent operations and all, but the land must be in India. This is one of the criteria. Kanay, you were right, there are certain criteria are there. So for that purpose, we have to, we have to understand the meaning of agricultural income. कि agriculture income होती क्या है. यहाँ तो कोई condition ही नहीं है, there is no condition. We have to go and understand the meaning of agricultural income, which is given in section 2 subsection 5. कहां पे दी है? सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 5 में. अगर आप अभी का सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 5 देखो, then this section 2 subsection 5, the corresponding section in the earlier act, the corresponding section in the earlier act was section 2 subsection 1a. Section 2 subsection 1 was there in the earlier act. अभी 2.5 पे आ गया. भाई कौन सी ऐसी डेफिनेशंस आ गई जो अभी आपके इससे पहले आ गई हैं? What are these definitions are? What are these definitions are? Let's understand. क्या है? बहुत मजे आएगा आपको एक बार आप देखोगे ना डेफिनेशन को. You will be very happy and it will motivate you. I would like to show you. इन्होंने सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 1 पे, सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 1 पे they have given the definition of accountant. They have given the definition of accountant. कुछ अच्छा लगा सुन के? accountant पहले सेक्शन 288 डिफाइन करता था accountant. वहां जाना पड़ता था हर सेक्शन में जाके, जहां पे भी एक रिपोर्ट फर्निश करनी होती फ्रॉम द अकाउंटेंट, दे आर रेफरिंग इट टू section 288. Now, of course, still in the definition clause itself, they have written shall have the meaning assigned to it in section 51535. पहले अकाउंटेंट यहाँ पे डिफाइन कर लिया. अगर कहीं पे अकाउंटेंट वर्ड यूज किया है तो आप किधर आओगे? In this section 2 subsection clause 1 में, right? You will come to section 2 clause 1 में. Understanding? And this is chartered accountant. This is a chartered accountant in section 5153B. ठीक है ना? तो आपका रोल कितना ज्यादा है टैक्स में? You all are FCAs. What is the meaning of FCAs? बहुत देर हो गई पढ़ाई, थोड़ा सा let it be some. What is the meaning of FCAs? Very good, Radha, future chartered accountants. So with this, that you have to, understand, you have to learn, you have to be consistent. and you all are future chartered accountants as of now, but in some time you are going to be a chartered accountant. ठीक है? And you can perform the functions, you can perform the role whatever the government has assigned to you as an accountant, as a chartered accountant, as a top tax audit reports, as a transfer pricing audit reports. Many things are there, right, which is available to a chartered accountant. और वो सब करने के लिए प्रॉपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत जरूरी है. समझ रहे हो? एक इंटरेस्ट आपका डेवलप हो गया किसी भी सब्जेक्ट में. आई एम नॉट टेलिंग यू दैट यू शुड प्रैक्टिस इन ऑन योर डीटी. यू कैन प्रैक्टिस इन एनी सब्जेक्ट, जो भी वट एवर. अभी तो पढ़ना तो सब पड़ेगा, ठीक है, हैज इक्वल वेटेजेस, बट योर स्पेशलाइजेशन यू कैन डिसाइड देयर आफ्टर. बट दैट डिसाइडिंग दैट स्पेशलाइजेशन आप अभी से समझ सकते हो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग से, आपको कितना सब्जेक्ट में इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है, और दैट इंटरेस्ट यू हैव टू इनकलकेट योरसेल्फ. ठीक है, ये आपको खुद करना है. सो अभी आप एग्रीकल्चर इनकम की बात कर रहे थे, मैं तो जस्ट अकाउंटेंट की डेफिनेशन बता रही थी, सो दैट इट यू वुड बी मोटिवेटेड टू लर्न, ट्राई टू लर्न दी एक्ट कैसे पढ़ना है वो जरूरी है. ठीक है, वी विल बी हैविंग सम सेशंस कि आपको चीजें समझ में आ जाती हैं. अभी मेरे को वैसा ये करना था, बट ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लग रहा है मेरे को आपको बताने के लिए. आई फील इट दैट आई शुड टेल यू. एज ए स्टूडेंट आपको चीजें समझ में आने लगती हैं, आपको याद भी हो जाती हैं, आपको लगता है कि अब तो मुझे समझ में आने लगा, याद भी हो गया, फिर मेरे मार्क्स क्यों नहीं आ रहे? स्टूडेंट्स, आपको जो आता है, वट एवर यू गेन, वट एवर यू नो, यू हैव टू डिस्प्ले इट. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? आपको चीजें डिस्प्ले भी करनी है, और डिस्प्ले कहां से होंगी? फ्रॉम योर आंसर शीट्स. जो आपको आता है, वट एवर यू हैव लर्न, वट एवर यू हैव अंडरस्टूड, you have to display through your answer sheets. That 3 hours time is very crucial for you. उस पे वहां पे जब आपको डिस्प्ले करने वाली बात आती है, that means you have to practice it. You have to practice to display, right? लिख के प्रैक्टिस करिए, लिख के अपने नोट्स बनाइए. आपको बहुत मटेरियल आउटसाइड से मिल जाएगा, मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ, बाहर बहुत मटेरियल है. आप रिलाय करोगे दूसरों पे कि हमें और क्वेश्चंस दे दें, हमें और चीजें दे दें, हम ये भी देख लें, वो भी देख लें, सारे नोट्स हमारे पास हो. बट सच बता रही हूँ, जब तक वेन एवर यू आर नॉट मेकिंग ऑन योर ओन नोट्स, तब तक वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग लेवल अचीव करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. मार्क्स गेन करना मैं मना नहीं कर रही हूँ. बच्चे करते हैं कि हम शॉर्ट टर्म स्टडी करके हमारे तो मार्क्स आ गए भाई, हम तो पास हो गए, हो जाते होंगे, बट उनकी नॉलेज इज वेरी शैलो. यू शुड हैव एन अंडरस्टैंड, बहुत अच्छी अंडरस्टैंडिंग जब होगी, एक बार आपको प्रोविजन समझ में आ गया, अपने नोट्स बना के आपने तैयारी करी, समझी चीजों को, पहले आपको ओवरऑल मैप बनाया आपने किसी चैप्टर का, उसको अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए आप यू कैन टेक द हेल्प ऑफ द पेयर एक्ट्स. यू कैन ऑफ कोर्स स्टडी मटेरियल वी विल बी प्रोवाइडिंग यू. वी आर इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ अपडेटिंग इट एक्चुअली. That's why it is taking time, because we are working as per the new act. We have to update it, and we are in the process, and very soon in the next month we will be try to provide you the whole study material, right? Or we just got to okay, please note, due to some technical issue, please, the schedule of LPC final has not been updated. This is a, please note it down, the schedule has not been updated due to there's some technical reason in the portal, because we are shifting from the old versions to the new versions, as we have done for the old to new. जो भी नया शिफ्ट होता है वो हमेशा अच्छा होता है. सो नए से हम पुराने से नए में जा रहे हैं, तो कुछ अच्छा ही करने के लिए वी आर ट्राइंग टू शिफ्ट. इस वजह से some technical problems are there, so please bear with us, and really that regretted, the inconvenience caused to you is really regretted. But for that reason tomorrow's schedule is not visible, but there will be a LBC class for final paper 5 indirect taxes. So kindly join that class. There is a class for indirect taxes, international tax, indirect tax laws. Okay, आई एम फैकल्टी ऑफ डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस ना, तो मेरे माइंड में बस वही आता है. सो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स लॉस की पेपर 5 की क्लास है आपकी. ठीक है, प्लीज नोट इट. अब टाइम इतना ज्यादा हो गया, आई वांट टू रियली आई हैव लॉट टू डिस्कस विद यू. सो अब एग्रीकल्चर इनकम की डेफिनेशन मीनिंग थोड़ा सा जल्दी जल्दी करेंगे, और आई विल ट्राई टू टेक वन मोर सेशन ऑन ट्यूजडे इन केस पॉसिबल फॉर मी. देन रियली आई वांट टू टेक इट. अभी जस्ट थोड़ा सा ब्रीफिंग. अभी हमने एग्रीकल्चर इनकम की डेफिनेशन, इनकम को समझा. इन द मॉर्निंग आई थिंक In the morning? Yeah, in the morning. Yes. The class will be there for IDT paper 5 in the morning. Of course, schedule is not visible to you, but there is a class, right? And this is agriculture income definition is given in section 2.5, and I want to discuss in some little bit detail, but just जो मैंने आपको बताया कि there are 4 conditions when income is classified as an agriculture income. When an income is classified as an agricultural income. This is first condition, rent and revenue from agricultural land. That means rent and revenue from agricultural land. You are receiving some rent. For example, I have some land, I have some agricultural land. I have given to someone, a cultivator, on a rent. कि आप इस पे खेती करो, you just do the farming and cultivate it and give me the rent. I don't have an issue. आप मुझे rent दो उस land का, whatever you have to use it for agricultural purposes. दिस इज द इम्पोर्टेंट वन जो मैंने आपको बोला था. और ये वाली टेस्टिंग जब आती है ना डीटीए के प्रोविजंस में, आपको चैप्टर इसमें आपको 23 आई थिंक डीटीए प्रोविजंस में यू विल कम टू नो 22 और 22 आई थिंक डीटीए प्रोविजंस, उसमें एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम फ्रॉम आउटसाइड इंडिया वाली ट्रांजेक्शंस विल बी विजिबल टू यू एंड दैट इज टैक्सेबल. बच्चे क्या करते हैं, एग्रीकल्चर इनकम देखा एंड दे जस्ट कीप ऑन exempting it. It's not like that. You have to understand only the rent revenue derived from land, agricultural income and used for agricultural purposes situated in India will be classified as agricultural income. So आपने कोई land, you have given the land for cultivating it and you are receiving the rent irrespective of the fact कि वो of course agriculture purpose के लिए आपने उस person को दी है, right, tenant, and you are a landlord. You have given that land to a tenant for doing the cultivation and he is giving you rent. And that land is situated in India and you are that land that is used by that tenant cultivator for agricultural purposes is one of the category. Then second is income derived from agricultural land. आप खुद ही उससे income you are deriving from doing the what agricultural operations. You are doing some agricultural operations. Income derived from agricultural carried out on such land. You are driving some, carrying out some operations. Then agriculture processes, you are performing some process ordinarily employed by cultivator. Cultivator means farmer. ठीक है, वो whatever is the process कि उसको seed लगाएगा, then he will make the fit. For example, wheat is grown through a crop. That wheat has to be, उसको निकालना होता है उसमें से, husk में से. For that purpose, he is using certain processes, and that processes are being used to make that produced fit for the market. From that process, whatever income you are driving at, after selling that agriculture produce is classified as agricultural income. Very easy. You can yourself read it. It's nothing great. The important aspect is with respect to farm building. Income from farm building is very, very important. उसके लिए बहुत important concept आएगा income from farm buildings के लिए. ये somehow become important not only for the identifying or classifying the income as agriculture income, but to understand whether the land is a urban land or a rural land, whether the land is situated where. And this will matter for you to understand the meaning of capital asset, because land, agricultural land is not a capital asset. This is excluded. But if it is within the permissible limits it is falling, then it will be classified as capital asset, and it has a great relevance for your doing your chapter capital gains pay. That we will be discussing. Okay, and now because it is a very good concept and really I want to discuss it, but as a hurry bari mein I do not want to discuss. I will take it initially of 1 hour. We will be taking and discussing this income which do not form part of total income. Then we will try to move on the next topic. Okay, any query if you want to ask, you please ask. We will try to upload the notes. अगर नहीं हो रहे हैं आपके CRO numbers you have given us, we have to verify those CRO numbers. Then only we will be sending the mails. So give us some time. We cannot send these chapters unless we verify the CRO numbers. Or I just came to know that we will try to upload, whether we will be uploading it in the next. help us to get the WhatsApp link of BOS final group for us to join? Can we provide WhatsApp link? Final के लिए? Next session we will get it. ठीक है, just give us some time. From next session, we will be giving you the WhatsApp link. Of course, there is a WhatsApp link. You can join, right? Radha, yeah, you just tell me your query. Let Sanket ji, let the Radha unmute herself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I have specifically 3 queries. So, first query with regards to guidelines which you were explaining. So, what all guidelines are like? I guess 393.1, I wasn't able to get what were you were listing, right? So, I just want to know that.
See, study guidelines में
Not guidelines, study guidelines, ma'am.
then
Income tax as a part of income tax components.
income, that was relating to the guidelines which were issued by the CBDT. You know, na, CBDT come out with the notifications, CBDT come out with the circulars, right?
Yes,
Apart
yes.
from these circulars, CBDT also come out with the guidelines. They are termed as guidelines, and that right is provided in the section itself, right? That power, that empowering visibility. But of course, these guidelines, they cannot come out like in that way. There's a proper procedure. It has to be first presented before the parliament, and they have to be notified. Of course, they name it as a circular. If you go through these guidelines, they name it as a circular number this. But these are mandatory for the assessing. That's what I am referring to.
Mandatory
So,
for the assessee.
yeah, for everyone. These guidelines has to be followed for everyone. Otherwise, you know, na, circulars are not binding on the assessee.
Yes, only
But
on assessing officer.
yeah,
Income tax
but
authorities.
these guidelines are mandatory, right?
Okay.
Specific because this empowerment is given through the section itself. That's why.
Yes, ma'am. Another second query, ma'am, you were explaining with regards to the surcharge and marginal relief and the exclusion of 198 section. Unclear about it. Just wanted to know that.
We can discuss. I will provide you my landline number also. We can discuss in case needed.
And the last one with regards to the reading of the sections, I wasn't clear that clause and sections when to apply it, like when you can call subsection and when you can call the
I'm
clause.
telling you, for example, two. If you go and read this section 2 now,
Okay.
it is starting with a text.
Okay.
ठीक है? So उसके बाद आपके clauses start हो रहे हैं. So we name it as clause. If a
Okay.
section is starting with a number itself, we refer it as a
Acha.
subsection.
Okay. Okay, this much minor impact. But
Yeah.
having okay, got it. बस इतना ही था. और सीरियल नंबर मैम क्या है, मतलब वो क्या, मतलब आपको याद पूरा रखना पड़ेगा, वो क्या है, वो
देखो,
समझ में नहीं आया.
रिमेम्बरिंग सीरियल नंबर ऑफ कोर्स इज थोड़ा चैलेंजिंग है, बट रिमेम्बरिंग सीरियल नंबर्स जहाँ पे बहुत लिमिटेड सीरियल नंबर्स है, फॉर एग्जांपल अभी तो मैं 393, आई एम नॉट डू नॉट वांट टू टॉक राइट नाउ अबाउट 393 स्पेसिफिकली टीडीएस प्रोविजंस.
Yes.
But unless you remember with the serial number, some serial numbers are really necessary to be remembered for the purpose of reference actually. So ऐसा नहीं है सारे serial numbers. अगर आप अपने उसमें answer sheets में if you are just writing the section number also with right, that would also be sufficient.
Yes. But serial number is basically schedules के अंदर जो दिए वो serial
वो
number से कहा जाएगा.
देखो वो serial numbers आपको पढ़ना तो आना चाहिए, how to read it, right? That's
Yeah.
my effort. But remembering those serial numbers, again, it is not expected from a student to remember those serial numbers. अगर बच्चा कुछ करना चाहता है, that's what I already told you, कि it would add value to your things. There are some students who want to, have a good memory and they are easy to remember those things. So
Yes.
उनके लिए, of course, if they are able to remember and write in their answers, definitely it add value to their answers. If not, then do not quote the wrong serial numbers, no wrong section numbers, wrong subsection numbers. Do not quote it. ठीक है? क्योंकि specific marks are not being given for those things. But of course, it gives. मैंने बोला ना, display करना आना चाहिए. The better you display, it gives you better impact.
I am one of those good memory person, so इसलिए like I was just asking कि schedules में जो दिए हुए हैं ना, वो आप serial number से आप you will reckon it as serial number, उसको आप serial numbers कहोगे, ये पूछ रही थी.
हाँ, of course. जैसे ना ये आपके tables है ना, जहाँ पे भी tables हैं, wherever they are referring in the tables the provision. This is serial number. For example, आप मेरा chapter 2 देखिए. That's what you are asking. Okay.
Yes.
Example, you see this. Here, agricultural income. The exemption is given in schedule 2, table serial number 1.
Okay.
In this way, you are going to read it.
Okay, ma'am. यही confusion था. Thank you, ma'am. हो गया.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone? Anyone else? Shall we wind up now? Or it is very much requested to you because one of the student is asking क्या हम बार बार faculties change करते रहेंगे? It's a general query, but frankly speaking, we also need your feedback. You know, then only we can decide something. What other suggestions are needed? What other improvements we are needed in the live virtual classes, right? And we are running these live virtual classes for our senior students to grow more, right? So please give your feedback for the faculties, for the classes, for your suggestions. We are looking for your feedbacks to improve on it, right? I'm a BUS faculty, basically. I am working for you people. I am involved in all the updations work for the providing the study material, everything. We will be guiding you in between. I will be interacting with you in between the classes, but we want the expert faculties also to take the classes, right? So that's great. And really give us your feedback. We have the feedback forms और पोर्टल नहीं चल रहा है तो आप मेरे को अपने फीडबैक मेरी जो मेल आईडी वॉट एवर आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड यू ना DT-final शुड आई राइट इट अगेन you just note down my mail ID DT-final@ICAI.in ठीक है इस मेल आईडी पे इज इट क्लियर ना DT-dash it's not hyphen red color I am not going to use it अच्छा so this is right DT this is DT means direct access dash it is dash final @ और आपकी जो queries है ना subject related you please ask me like study material में of course you if you have some query in the study material and you find something which is not there is some errors there is some mistakes we are looking for those things and please bring to our notice so that at least once we release the study material it would be difficult for us to make the changes but on the web hosted copy definitely we can correct it and in the next edition we will be considering your suggestions for improvements right so DT-final anything else so shall we wind up now yeah WhatsApp link we will be providing है ना evening में कोई class है do we have any class in the evening
evening है schedule को update हो जाएगा
schedule we will be uploading otherwise we will be announcing in the morning class itself ठीक है about the class we will be announcing in the morning class about the evening schedule okay yeah, definitely. We will try to solve the other questions also, or we will be giving as an assignment, as in homework. We can give you those questions. ठीक है जो previous questions है because previous questions whatever you are doing now they need to be updated and really we will be providing you we will be asking our faculties to update those questions then they will be providing to you and it is really a time consuming job and we will try meanwhile whatever the given ना जो भी आपको questions is given in your study material try to solve those first उसके बाद और फर्दर प्रैक्टिस के लिए डू प्रैक्टिस बाय टेकिंग अ पेन एंड पेपर ऐसे नहीं करना है ट्राई टू मेक ऑन योर ओन नोट्स और यू कैन जस्ट मेक टेक अ पेन एंड पेपर एंड सॉल्व इट दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे क्लास thank you so much very Ashutosh I think you have already provided your mail ID we have noted it down and we will be mailing you just give us some time on Monday we will be mailing you because tomorrow we have to just check your say registration number just give us some time and thank you so much a very good night to all of you now have a great day ahead thank you we can wind up the session
Recording stopped.